Oh, welcome to Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Toronto Maple Leafs and Barrie Baycats going head-to-head tonight. As we take a look at the stats between these two teams, and Gus, this is a good Barrie Baycats team, and no question it'll be a tough test for the Leafs here in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're facing a Barrie team that's second in the IBL. They're coming to this game. They've had a tough stretch of opponents recently, and they, as we were just talking about before the broadcast, a very deep lineup. We've talked about their pitching staff endlessly. We'll talk about them much more as the game progresses. But they are a team that pitches extremely, extremely well. And for a Leafs squad who doesn't fare that well against lefties, we're going to see Frank Garces on the mound tonight, another lefty. So the Leafs will have another task for them here tonight against the Barrie Baycats in a game that is going to be a very important one tonight, as Brantford's also playing. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but every game is important from here on out for the Maple Leafs, and this is just another one that they're going to have to perform in.
Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at the standings. The reason that Brantford game is important is that's the team that the Toronto Maple Leafs are chasing right now. Just half a game out of the final playoff spot, and they do have the tiebreaker after winning last time out against the Brantford Red Sox. And this Maple Leafs team, they didn't expect they would be here at this point in the standings, but right now their next task is to make sure that they make the playoffs, because if they do, they have a lot of belief that they're going to be able to do something special, and that's upset one of the top teams. Obviously, they'd rather get it as high as they possibly can, but right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the goal is make the playoffs. And the Brantford Red Sox, they are playing later on today, and they're playing against a team that hasn't been faring particularly well of late also. That's the Hamilton Cardinals. If the Toronto Maple Leafs win today and the Brantford Red Sox lose, that would mean the Maple Leafs are in that final playoff spot, which I think they would see as a big win. But right now the task for the Maple Leafs is try and jump the Brantford Red Sox.
Absolutely it is. And I mean, you can only focus on one team at a time, right? Sure, we talked endlessly about you want to jump up 2 spots, 3 spots, 4 spots, to try and get that home field advantage. Well, you got to start somewhere, and right now that somewhere is trying to overtake the Brantford Red Sox. And like you just mentioned, nobody on this team thought at this point in the season you'd be saying that. Nobody thought they'd be in last place. Nobody thought that the battle would be this hard. But you're here, you got to accept that it is what it is. And are you going to need some help from other teams? Absolutely. The amount of times that Brantford plays Kitchener and Chatham, Kent, and all these variables, you can only look at the game in front of you and say, well, we have to go and win tonight, and we have to do that 14 more times after tonight, and that's the best thing you can do. You can only control what you can control, and you can't help but look at the other games that are going on, like Brantford and Kitchener and Hamilton and Chatham, Kent, but you got to play the one that's right in front of you, and tonight it's the Barrie Baycats.
Right now we're watching Landon Leach warming up for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to be an exciting start. This is the matchup between Brantford and Hamilton, and this has been a Hamilton Cardinals team that, I mean, they've had better numbers than the Brantford Red Sox of late, but they have been struggling a little bit and starting to fall in the standings now. Below 500 are the Hamilton Cardinals. As you may know, the All-Star game is coming up. That's going to be on Saturday. I had a chance to talk to John Salazzo and his throwing partner, who's going to be Ryan Dos Santos, who's going to pitch to him in the All-Star game. Here's my conversation with John Salazzo. Right now by John Salazzo from the Toronto Maple Leafs. John, you're going to the All-Star game. I know it's not every year you get an All-Star game in the Inter-County Baseball League. What does it mean just to be the representative for the Maple Leafs and go to the All-Star game?
I mean, it's an honor, to represent the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I just want to say thank you to the fans and everyone that voted. It obviously means a lot, and I want to put on a good show, and especially for the Home Run Derby. I think the last All-Star game I was a part of was 2015, so to have Welland put on a show, I think it's good for the league, and I'm excited for it.
Okay, so let's talk about the Home Run Derby. This is something that's kind of new. I don't know how many of these you've competed in before, but just your general thoughts on competing in the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, so during COVID, Guelph threw on a Home Run Derby. I struggled. I don't think I hit one out, but I'm excited for this year. I'm going to have Ryan DeSantos throw me BP and try to get the swing going, and hopefully I can hit a few out of the park and put on a good show for everyone there.
So I understand you guys got some practice doing some BP today. What's the strategy with Ryan, and how did that go?
I mean, I told Ryan I like it high and in, so I can kind of turn and burn on him. It worked in BP today. I hit some over the green monster over there. So if I keep that swing going and take my breaks properly, I think it's going to be a good show.
And then just playing in the All-Star game as well. How cool is that for you just to be in the All-Star game and just with all the other great talent in the Intercounty Baseball League?
Yeah, like I said, it's an honor being there with all these greats and everyone in the league, and we're all close friends. We grew up playing baseball together, so to be on a team, to kind of have some fun, joke around, and have a couple of beers after the game, I think it's going to be good.
All right, John, thanks for this.
Thanks a lot, man.
So there is John Salazzo getting ready for tonight's game. He took a healthy round of BP with Ryan Dos Santos before the game, and he looks like he's ready to go for the All-Star game and especially the Home Run Derby. I know that's something that John Salazzo is very excited about. And he's got a tough matchup to start things off, going up against Sterling Joseph from the London Majors, who we know is a very experienced hitter. He's a really good hitter. Caden Cardoso and Josh Gartner on the other side of the bracket that John Salazzo is going to be looking at. I mean, if Josh Gartner can get that through that first round and John Salazzo can get through that first round, that would be a heck of a semifinals matchup, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it would. And in Welland, we've seen it in years past. The last time that Welland had a home run derby, they actually put the home run fence, quote unquote, about 10 feet in front of each of their walls out there in the outfield. So we'll see if they do that again. But the east side of this bracket is loaded. I mean, you look at we've seen Salazzo do it because we watch him every game. Joseph, like you said, Josh Garton has done it to the Maple Leafs over and over and over again. Caden Cardoso, we've seen year after year be amazing with the bat. And on the west side, too, we've talked so much about Seth Strong recently and what a good story that's been for the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers and how well he's hit this year. I would not at all be shocked if we end up with something like a Seth Strong, John Salazzo final, just because they're two of the most powerful hitters, powerful players in the IBL. And all you have to do in a home run derby is get rolling for 8, 9, 10 in a row, swings in a row, and you are golden. And with 3-minute rounds, I think it should be a very, very fun event to watch.
Yeah, if John Salazzo can find his rhythm, he is going to be very, very dangerous. Now, Welland is not the easiest park to hit in, but I was talking to John about the home run derby before the game today, and he said he has a lot of confidence coming into it because he has hit some big home runs in Welland in the playoffs, so he knows exactly what it feels like to hit the ball over the fence. It's going to be 3-minute rounds for the home run derby, and you get a timeout in the middle. So John said his strategy is to kind of get some quality swings in the first half, try and get himself into a rhythm, and then the second half he's going to kind of lean towards trying to just get as many pitches as possible. So him and Ryan Dos Santos have kind of started planning that out, and he just wants to get the ball up in it. If Ryan Dos Santos can get the ball up in it, he thinks he has a pretty good chance. And obviously, the bullpen pitcher is so important, like we saw in the MLB Home Run Derby as well. Okay, let's flip things over to the Barrie Baycats side of things. They have a really dangerous lineup right now, and the reason for that is because they've added this guy, Brandon Hernandez, who's playing shortstop from them. A young guy who, I mean, he's played in the minor leagues. I think he's a guy that still has a lot of potential. I mean, he's probably looking at signing professionally again, kind of like we've seen from a guy like Landon Leach on the side of the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a Canadian. He's not one of the import spots from Montreal, Quebec. Just 22 years old, Brandon Hernandez. A guy who's played a little bit in the St. Louis Cardinals system and most recently for the Trois Rivières. But as you can see there, he's just been tearing the cover off the ball. Very small sample size just to start out his IBL career, but Gus, he's going to be hitting in the 2 spot today, and he makes that lineup look a lot better.
Absolutely, and it's been a theme we've seen a lot this year. IBL teams searching out and finding young Canadian talent, whether it's from the Atlantic League or the Frontier League, guys who are coming in, especially middle infielders. We saw it with Dawson Tweet and Welland, who made the All-Star game just a couple weeks ago that was announced. And you talked about him playing with Trois Rivières. Well, he played on the same team as Brandon Hupe, who we've talked about a lot this year with the Jackfish. So clearly there's a bit of a pipeline that teams look at from the Frontier League, see where guys want to play. Obviously, it helps in this case that Brandon Hernandez is a Canadian. You don't burn one of those import spots on him, and he's been fantastic. He's a young guy. He's added a lot of spirit to this infield that's been lacking for the Barrie Baycats, whether it's due to injury or people not available to play, as we've seen a lot in the IBL. But he's shown up, and right from the start, he's been fantastic for them.
So it should be a good one tonight. We'll keep our eye on Brandon Hernandez as well as John Salazzo on the other side of things for the Maple Leafs as they get closer and closer to the All-Star break. First pitch is coming up in just a couple moments. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs and Barrie Baycats. You're watching Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Welcome to Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube. I'm Thomas West alongside Gus Cousins, and today's starting pitcher for the Toronto Maple Leafs is an exciting one. It's Landon Leach, a guy we don't know a whole lot about in terms of playing with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's only pitched one inning this year. It went well. It went scoreless. This is a guy for the Toronto Maple Leafs that looks like he's got a lot of potential, Gus.
As long as he's here, he's going to be someone that they want to rely on heavy. He's a guy with a lot of prowess. You look at his resume, a former second-round pick. We've talked about this a bunch before with the Minnesota Twins. He's played multiple seasons in the minor leagues, both with the Twins organization and with the Atlanta Braves organization. There's a lot of hype surrounding him. He is a very, very talented pitcher. You look at the numbers in the minor leagues for him. They are not the numbers that you would usually see of guys who bottom out in the MILB and come here. He is a very talented individual, a Canadian once again, so they don't have to use an import spot. And so long as he's on the mound for the Maple Leafs game in and game out, he is someone that they are going to want to get rolling and hopefully have enough innings qualified for the playoffs should he still be around.
Yeah, Landon Leach is so good that we think that he's probably still pursuing that pro career. So these innings with the Maple Leafs aren't just huge for the Maple Leafs, but they're big for Landon Leach personally as well, because that'll be something that he'll use towards his scouting resume for other teams. And if it looks like he's taking up a lot of space on the screen right now, he is. He's a big guy, over 6.5 feet tall, and he's an imposing presence on the mound for the Maple Leafs. 1-1 the count now on Ejo.
The battery of Landon Leach and Lachlan Maud behind the plate is probably one of the tallest that we've seen this year.
Kenise Ejo drills this ball. It's deep to right field, and it's gone. The third pitch of the ball game. Kenise Ejo, who has been hitting very well for the Barrie Baycats, goes yard. That's 1-0 Barrie Baycats.
He hung a slider right there, and Kenise Ejo waited back on it, took it to deep right center field. A great start for the Barrie Baycats, a short-handed Baycats team, as we'll touch on more later, but something we've seen quite a bit over the last 12 or so games for the Leafs, falling behind early in the first inning.
So for Kenise Ejo, that's his 4th home run of the season. And now the guy that we were talking about quite a bit in the pregame, Brandon Hernandez, playing just his 5th game with the Barrie Baycats. Brandon Hernandez out of Montreal, Quebec, last played in the Frontier League with the Trois-Rivières, but has lots of experience playing minor league baseball as well between 2019 and 2023, between rookie ball and A ball in the St. Louis Cardinals system. 3-0 now the count on him, and that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Refuted there by Brandon Hernandez.
Ejo's now one of 3 Baycats with 4 home runs on the year, tied for the team lead.
And that one's low and inside, ball 4. Landon Leach did walk a couple guys in the one inning he had against the Guelph Royals last week.
And we've talked about it endlessly, how long it takes for someone new to this league to settle in on the mound. We saw it with Will Ennis Alvarado, with Max Lanou, with Taylor Lepard last year when he was with Welland, and then when he came here. We've seen it with a number of players. Evan Elliott, another one last year, who is now pitching in organized baseball with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, even just getting used to the mound at Dominico Field or any of the Intercounty Baseball League diamonds, it's not like Major League Baseball where every mound is the same height. This mound at Dominico Field is very high. And for a guy that throws from a very high arm slot, that might be a little bit of an adjustment for Landon Leach. I talked to Sam Green. He said playing in Barrie is actually one of his favorite mounds to pitch off of. And I said, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why do you like that? The mound in Barrie is very, very low. And he said just what works for him. He finds his fastball comes out of his hand very naturally and ends up right at the bottom of the zone, and it's just a feel thing. So obviously that could be something that Landon Leach has to deal with pitching for the first time at Dominico Field as well.
Yeah, the taller you are as a pitcher on the mound, the more a high mound can help you, but the less you need to rely on it. If you are a tall, lanky guy, we've seen it with Chris Nagorski, now Landon Leach. Sam Green's a tall guy too. You can have a flatter mound, and you don't need to be driving down a steep hill. You can extend, and if you're a big guy, it's a lot easier.
The 1-2 on Hayden Jaco. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Landon Leach with his first strikeout at Dominico Field.
Big benefit for him because, as we've talked about, the experience is there, the quality of pitches are there. It's just how often he can throw it for strikes, which again has been a common theme over the last couple of years.
So here's Nolan Mackey-Broda. Mackey-Broda, another guy with some power on the Barrie Baycats. He has 4 home runs on the season, 6 doubles, and he's driven in 16 runs as well. Brandon Hernandez is the runner over there at first base. He's stolen a couple bags already on the year for the Barrie Baycats, but hasn't taken a particularly aggressive lead yet.
Mackie Broda was the last man in for the North All-Star team that was just announced today. Part of the IBL's final vote campaign, so he'll join a number of other Barrie Baycats in Welland this coming weekend.
Here's the 1-1. Swinging a foul tip off of Lachlan Maud. Toronto Maple Leafs have the battery of Landon Leach and Lachlan Maud, and then John Salazzo at third base, Jose Vinicio at shortstop, Dan Mara is at second base. Ryan Dos Santos is in left field, Connor Lewis in center, and Marcus Connect is in right. Landon Leach looking for another strikeout or maybe a ground ball here from Mackie Broda. The 1-2. Runner goes, and it's fouled off. That was an off-speed pitch there from Landon Leach. Mackie Broda had to protect because it was a pitch that would have been close to being a strike.
Good pitch for Hernandez to run on, though. You've seen with Hayden Jaco the strikeout on a curveball from, or a slider I should say, from Landon Leach. You figure he'll throw another one on 2 strikes to Mackie Broda, and you take off, got a good jump. Would have been safe had it not been a foul ball.
Another 1-2. Outside corner, strike 3 called. And Landon Leach is starting to find a groove here on the mound.
Yeah, 2 strikeouts so far, both with his off-speed pitches. It's looked very sharp outside of that hanging slider that Canisijo hit to deep right center. Other than that, he's been very on point to start this game.
Swing and a miss from Ryan Rio. This has been an uncharacteristic season from Ryan Rio. He has been one of the better hitters in the Inter-County Baseball League for many years now, but hitting just .203 this season. Here's the 0-1. A strike on the outside corner. 2 breaking balls from Landon Leach, and Ryan Rio didn't get a great look at either of them.
And if it ain't don't fix it. Throw another one here. Make it a ball. You have your head 0-2. Bury one in the dirt, low and inside. Rio is going to swing over it.
He does, and he chops it right back to Landon Leach. He has lots of time. A long underhand flip to Jordan Castaldo, playing first base, and that'll do it. So the solo home run to lead off the game for the Barrie Baycats. That came off the bat of Canisijo, his 4th of the season. And it's the Toronto Maple Leafs who trail 1-0 to the Barrie Baycats. You're watching Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Bottom of the first inning here at Dominico Field. Jose Vanicio leading things off for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's going to face a tough lefty for the Barrie Baycats and Frank Garces.
Garces has appeared twice this season against the Maple Leafs, done well in both his outings.
Comes into this start with a sparkling ERA of 2.49 on the season.
One of a handful of fantastic starts to the year for Barrie Baycats pitchers. Juan Benitez, another one.
Hard on the ground towards third base. Gobbled up by Malik Williams, who throws to first in plenty of time. That's Nolan Mackey-Broda over there playing first base. Brandon Hernandez is at shortstop, and Kyle Maves is at second base. Brad McQuinn is in left field, Kenise Icho in center, and Ricky Phillips playing right. It's been Tyler Plumpton a lot recently doing the catching for the Barrie Baycats, but today giving way to Hayden Jaco. Barrie Baycats have an excellent catching duo between Tyler Plumpton and Hayden Jaco. Both of them came into this game hitting .333. But very different hitters, although with similar batting average. Jacob a lot more RBIs and hits for a lot more power, and Tyler Plimpton is an excellent singles hitter. 1-1 the count on Connor Lewis, who has spent a lot of time up in that 2 spot recently for the Maple Leafs because he's been hitting very well of late. Lewis hits one on the ground. Throw to first in lots of time. Brandon Hernandez gets his first bit of action.
Right off the bat, Garces is working extremely quickly on the mound. It's a trait that we've noticed in the past when he's faced the Leafs here at Christie Pitts, but he is very, very good at utilizing it to his benefit. When he gets rolling with quick outs like he's done so far, 2 ground balls to the left side, neither hit overly hard, he's a force to be reckoned with out there. And with only 1 timeout allowed for each hitter, we'll see how that impacts each at bat.
Okay, we're back here at Dominico Field. Thomas West here alongside Gus Cousins. Apologies for the audio issues here. We're working through some technical difficulties on our end, but we're doing our best to try and get the audio as clean as possible for you. I'm not sure if it's good as well. If you have any feedback in the chat, feel free to send that in. Okay, I see a couple that's better, so that's good. Okay, so still 1-0 Barrie Baycats. Landon Leach on the mound. He's recorded a strikeout in the inning, and now here's a little check swing flare to left. That is a fair ball. Brad McQuinn is going to stop at first base, and that's another run for the Barrie Baycats in miraculous style down the left field line, and it's 2-0.
Another great pitch by Landon Leach. This time it fooled him just enough that he could put some bat on the ball and flare it down the left field line. It landed about 10 feet away from Melenis Alvarado, who's warming up down there, just on the opposite side of the line. A matter of inches, but that's all it takes, and it's 2-0. We've seen some really good stuff from Landon Leach, but unlucky break there, as it was a good pitch that just flared over the third baseman's head. A number of his strikeouts so far have been on very awkward-looking swings. His pitches are working. It was just a home run in the first, a bad break there in the second, and they find themselves down 2-0.
The 1-0 pitch is in the dirt, and an appeal down to first base to see if Kenice Ejo swung, and he did not. Kenice Ejo hit a home run on the third pitch of the ball game in his last at-bat. Got the Barrie Baycats off and rolling in the first inning, and now they've scored in each of the first 2 innings. Brad McQuinn had a check swing single down the left field line that was fair by about an inch, and that drove in another run for the Barrie Baycats. Pitch a strike to Ejo.
Yeah, we've seen 2 check swings called balls that went against the Leafs, and the one that made contact was the flare down the left field line.
Landon Leach trying to limit some damage here in the top of the second. Here's the pitch to the leadoff hitter, Ejo. And he lines one softly to Dan Marr, who plays it on a short hop. Nice play. Throws over to first base. Jordan Castaldo is there waiting. Landon Leach gives him a fist bump on the way out. But the Barrie Baycats are able to get to the new Toronto Maple Leafs pitcher for a couple of runs in each of the first 2 innings. It's 2-0 Barrie Baycats over the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're watching Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Well, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but this is This is the catching duo that the Barrie Baycats have been blessed with this year. Tyler Plumpton and Hayden Jacob both coming in hitting .333 to this game in a similar number of games. Tyler Plumpton has been doing a lot of the catching recently, since coming back about 17 games ago. But Hayden Jaco is behind the plate. When he's not behind the plate, he's playing third base for the Baycats. And they'll do whatever they can to get his name in the lineup wherever he needs to play, because he's an excellent hitter, and he's been really good for Barrie this season. He's facing John Salazzo, who hits this one in the air towards center field, and it's off the top of the wall. Salazzo is hustling around first base, and the throw is wild coming back to the infield, so John Salazzo is standing up at second with a double. Well, John Salazzo spent his entire batting practice today practicing for the home run derby, and he was intentionally dropping his shoulder to try and elevate the ball, which you think, well, that might not go so well. And he said it was something that he was worried about a bit, that he's going to screw up his swing before the home run derby, because he's practicing to try and hit home runs, but that time he didn't get under it enough and hit a line drive off the deepest part of the ballpark.
No, 2 straight at-bats from it. Christy Pitts, dating back to the last game they played here. The exact same hit, ripping it to the right center field gap off the fence. We saw it in the bottom of the 8th the last time the Leafs played at home here. And he does it again.
So here's Marcus Connect, who's been on a bit of a slow stretch at the plate. That game that you mentioned, Gus, against the Brantford Red Sox was a huge one for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were on a 5-game losing streak. Brantford is right now the team to beat. If they had lost that game, they would see themselves not within touching distance of the Brantford Red Sox, but since they did win that game, they can go into the clubhouse at the end of this one and watch the end of the Brantford Red Sox game, because if Brantford loses and Toronto wins, then that means that the Maple Leafs are in the playoffs as we speak. Here's a fly ball to left, and catch made. John Salazzo is going to have to hold his ground at second base.
Yeah, the Brantford Red Sox just getting going in their game tonight against the Hamilton Cardinals just a couple minutes ago. An 8 o'clock start for them. And sure, there's 14 games after this for the Maple Leafs, and for other teams it's 15 or 16. And it's about that time of the year where scoreboard watching, as distracting as it may be, will be occurring whether anyone wants to admit it or not. We'll be watching tonight. I mean, it's 14 games left, but it's of utmost importance, like you just said, for the Maple Leafs.
Well, here's Ryan Dos Santos at the plate. He's been hitting well for the Maple Leafs, and he's been hitting very well against the Barrie Baycats this season. The Maple Leafs and Baycats have played each other 4 times, and Ryan Dos Santos is hitting over 400. Here's the 1-1. Dos Santos pops it up. This one's on the infield. It's the first baseman, Nolan Macabroda, who comes in and makes the catch. And there's 2 away. Gus, how have the Toronto Maple Leafs been doing against the Barrie Baycats in their last 10 games?
Not ideal, to say the least. No, the Barrie Baycats are 10-0 in their last 10 games against the Maple Leafs, dating back to almost 2 years ago to the day. Back in 2022 was the last time the Maple Leafs beat the Barrie Baycats, and since then, in a year that took them to the finals against London, it's been a struggle against a really, really good Baycats squad. And like we just saw, the last 3 at-bats, you start the inning off, put a man in scoring position right off the bat, and you do nothing with it after that. 2 straight pop-ups, you can't get them over. It's moments like these this season that have plagued the Toronto Maple Leafs, unfortunately, and it's something that they're going to try and work out of, and they will need to work out of if they want to try and make a run into the playoffs and then through the playoffs a little bit.
Well, the Maple Leafs have had a runner on second base with nobody out in this inning, and now there's 2 away, and it's Dan Morrow who's at the plate, and he fouls one back, so now behind in the count against Frank Garces. But Dan Morrow is the right guy at the plate in this situation for the Maple Leafs. He prides himself in putting up a good at-bat no matter what, and doesn't strike out a lot. So there's a good chance that he can put the ball in play and maybe drive in John Salazzo here for the Maple Leafs. Mara fights it off. We expect that Dan's brother Justin, who is the usual catcher for the Maple Leafs, will be back after the All-Star break. That'll be a boost for the Maple Leafs, having their veteran catcher back in the lineup.
And on top of how good of a pure hitter he is, Justin Morrow hasn't played in well over a week. He's still right up there at the top of the league leaderboard in terms of walks. He's one of a handful of Maple Leafs alongside Ryan Dos Santos and, of course, Jordan Castaldo, who get on base a ton without having to swing the bat.
Here's the 2-2. Fouled off again. Dan Morrow did not like that pitch, but he knew he had to make contact because it would have been a strike, so he was very late and just threw his hands at the baseball.
We expect next inning will be Willenas Alvarado on the bump for the Maple Leafs. Landon Leach threw 2 innings, threw 1 inning in his first outing, up the pitch count here today, and Alvarado, as we saw the last time he appeared, out of the pen, a long man.
The 2-2, this one's flared into the outfield, but hit just a little bit too hard. It hangs up for Ricky Phillips out there in right field, and the Barrie Baycats get out of the situation where they had a runner on second base and nobody out, so they still lead 2-0 over the Maple Leafs, and that's a good sign right there. Dustin Richardson warming up for the Maple Leafs. Well, we just saw Dustin Richardson warming up in the bullpen there, and the reason we mentioned him is that he had an injury last game where he had to bunt a ball down the first baseline. The Maple Leafs lost their DH. It's a long story. Anyway, Dustin Richardson was hustling down the first baseline. Looked like he pulled his hamstring. I talked to Connor Lewis after the game, and he said everyone literally let out a gasp when it happened. The losing streak that the Maple Leafs were on definitely affected it. He's trying to get on base for us, and he doesn't have to do it in that situation, but sometimes you can't take the dog out of the beast, which I thought was a great line there from Connor Lewis. And he is a beast, and one can say he's got a lot of dog in him as well. And he's a guy that, yes, played Major League Baseball, but he's never been more dedicated to a team here in the Intercounty Baseball League with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I don't know if he's back from injury yet for Toronto. If he is, that would be a crazy 3-day turnaround for the Maple Leafs. But it's good to see him on his feet and throwing.
Absolutely. He was walking by us earlier and looking just like his usual self. And what we're seeing here, we discussed about this before we went on air today, is that when we were given the lineup card, and it looks like it'll be okay, but what Brian Sewell was just talking to home plate umpire Taka Matsuda about there was that the lineup card we were given, sometimes numbers are mixed up, and in the case of Dustin Richardson, we were just talking about it. In the bullpen, he wasn't on it, but numbers get mixed up all the time, and I got to imagine that's likely what it was.
And on the topic of injuries, the Barrie Baycats have a couple injuries of their own. Adam Odd and Noel McGarry-Doyle had a nasty collision in the outfield in a game against the Welland Jackfish, which was now 2 games ago. Both of them are not in the lineup again. We don't know what the injury status is on them, but those are both big players. That one in Noel McGarry-Doyle that was added late, but he's hitting over 400 this year, and the Maple Leafs might be catching a bit of a break, catching the Barrie Baycats without them in the lineup.
Yeah, and you never want to see injuries like that. We both watched it earlier today, the collision in the outfield, Adam Odd taking a cleat to his left side of his neck, Noel McGarry-Doyle having to be helped off the field by 2 of his teammates, and then Zach Orchard in the 9th inning in that game against the Welland Jackfish with a hamstring injury running out. A similar situation to Dustin Richardson, a bunt up the first baseline with the man on first, and a very tough, very scary scene in back-to-back innings for the Barrie Baycats in a game that they eventually pulled out and won against the Welland Jackfish.
Well, Hennis Alvarado's 2-2 pitch is right at the knees. Strike 3 called. Good sign from Wilhennis Alvarado. He's the new pitcher into the game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He struggled a little bit to start the season, but then we saw a great outing by Wilhennis Alvarado when he came in relief. This is technically in relief as well, but we expect that he'll probably go quite a few innings here for the Maple Leafs if all goes well. And I think he's a guy who's set to have a really good second half of the season. I don't think he was particularly happy with the way the first half went. I think he's very motivated and concentrated on the second half of the season. So if he can string together 2 good outings again, he might be back to the normal Wilhennis Alvarado form that we've seen in the past.
Absolutely, and sometimes as a pitcher you just need a straight reset, and sometimes it's taking a week off of not throwing, sometimes it's a move to the bullpen. We saw how effective Alvarado was last year at the beginning of his time with the Maple Leafs coming out of the bullpen, as there's just a great slider, and that's the pitch that we're used to seeing so much of last year and as parts of this year, is that hard slider low and in to righties. It's so incredibly effective, and a move to the bullpen, whether temporary or long-term, might be just what Alvarado needs just to reset himself, and he's looking good so far.
The 1-2, up and away. Tried to reach back for a little extra there on the fastball, but as you mentioned, that breaking ball is Wilhennis Alvarado's pitch. It didn't look as sharp at the beginning of the season. It did in his last outing against Guelph, and it's looked really good in the first 2 batters here, as Hayden Jaco just saw a nasty one over the inner half. Does he go to it on 2-2? Here's the pitch. Check swing, went with the fastball, it's fouled off.
And we're also reaching the part of the season where the Leafs, like many teams, are starting to think about getting pitchers who haven't pitched a lot the innings required to qualify should they make the playoffs. And Alvarado obviously has. Leach hasn't. He's just pitched in 2 games. Dustin Richardson, a guy that hasn't pitched a whole lot.
That was the breaking ball from Alvarado. He tried to backdoor it on Jaco, and he fouled it off again.
And alongside Richardson, they want to get Max Lanou, who had a terrific start to the year, but he struggled as of late. Julian Tomachko hasn't pitched in a while. We expect to see him today. Get everybody going right at the right time. It's one of the most important things you can do in the IBL. If everyone's hot at the same time, it doesn't matter how the first half of the season went.
The 2-2, this one's lined into the outfield. This might find a gap. Yes, it will. It's down in front of Connor Lewis. Hayden Jaco will stop at first base as Lewis came over quickly to cut it off. And just on that point, Gus, I believe it's 10 innings that Maple Leafs pitchers will need to qualify for the playoffs.
I'm a little bit surprised he went back to the fastball there on a 2-2 count. I mean, we saw the swing over top of it that he got off of Hayden Jaco to make it 0-2. Tried to jam him, and he just flared it out there. That's how strong Hayden Jaco is. He's a powerful man.
So is this guy, Nolan Mackey-Broda, as he fouls off the first pitch from Alvarado. This is a much better matchup for Alvarado than Hayden Jaco, with Nolan Mackey-Broda being a left-handed hitter. And Wilhennis Alvarado, the lefty on the mound, and he's got a runner on first base. The 0-1. Fastball just inside.
Mackey-Broda, one of 3 Baycats so far this season that has hit 4 home runs. Was 2 going in today with Hayden Jaco, and then Kanice Ejo wanted in on that action after the 3rd pitch of the ball game that he took over the right center field fence. And now there's a trio of Baycats tied for the team lead.
1-1. Oh, that was another nasty breaking ball. Alvarado didn't get the call, but once again it looked really sharp. And now they're going to check down at second base to see if Mackey-Broda went, and the umpire says no. So Mackey-Broda has found himself ahead in the count, 2-1. Now he might be able to sit on a fastball on one of these next 2 pitches. Alvarado, a long look in. He's shaken off Lachlan Mott a couple times. Now he finds the pitch he wants. The 2-1, it is the breaking ball, and he missed over the inside corner. Lost the release point a little bit on that one.
And the reason I'd be very hesitant to try and bust Mackey-Broda inside with a hard fastball is with Costello holding the runner on at first and Mara playing on that last pitch closer up the middle. Now he shifts to his left. there's a big gap on the right side. You can jam him. That ball is going to squib its way through to right field.
3-1, fastball on the outside corner. That one finds a zone.
And now both the hitter and the pitcher have had some discontent with the calls this at bat. Mackie Broda turning around quizzically, saying, hey, wasn't that pitch outside, after Alvarado questioned a slider earlier in the at bat.
It's a big pitch here for Alvarado. It's hit on the ground, and it's going to bounce up the middle into center field. Seeing eye single that time from Nolan Macabroda. So 2-1, not a lot of hard contact here against Hayden Jaco. But here's a guy in Ryan Rio who is hit very well, if memory serves me correctly, in the past against the Maple Leafs.
Designated hitter number 27, Ryan Rio.
It's a theme, isn't it? Powerful lefty bats come to Christie Pitts on a bit of a downturn, and, well, we've seen it a number of times this year, primarily with Josh Garton.
We got a wall for that now, though.
Has it worked?
No.
The thought was there.
Not on Josh Garton.
If we double this wall...
It did work on Salazzo, though, in the first inning. That ball would have been gone. Salazzo had to stop at second base, and he didn't come in to score, so that did cost the Maple Leafs a run.
It's working on the wrong guys.
Yeah. The 1-0. Missed in the dirt. Johannes Alvarado has fallen behind Ryan Rio. And believe it or not, Ryan Rio is actually might be the guy you want to face here, because Malik Williams is the batter on deck, and he's another guy with lots of power. Here's the 2-0. This one's fouled off. Ryan Rio is also a double play candidate if they can get the ball on the ground.
Yeah, you look up and down this Barrie Baycats lineup, and we were discussing it off air, just how deep it really is. There's no weak point. There's no part of the lineup you can say, oh, even 7, 8, 9. Nope. Top of the lineup, nope. And then the middle, where the power is, there's no easy part to this Baycats offense.
2-1. Slash towards left field. Foul. Foul pretty comfortably. About 15 feet down the left field line. Julian Tomachko was all over it. And the Maple Leafs catching a break, not facing Adam Odd, because he hit a game-winning home run as the Maple Leafs lost 2-1 against the Barrie Baycats. They just can't seem to win against Barrie. They played an excellent game in Barrie, and Adam Odd just hit the home run. And there's a breaking ball that slips out of the hand of Alvarado and hits Ryan Rio. He's going to head down to first base, and the bases are loaded for Malik Williams.
And unfortunately, this is what we've seen a little bit of Alvarado this year, is he gets wild. We saw it at the beginning of his time with the Leafs last year. We've seen it more than we'd like to see this year. So Angel Castro is going to call time, and as the de facto pitching coach today, we haven't seen Sam Green around, so Angel Castro will go to the mound and discuss things. But with the Barrie Baycats, a couple times this inning, they've gotten themselves into 2-strike counts and worked themselves out of it, getting on base, falling behind Alvarado, and then he gets a little bit wild, and that's how the bases are loaded. Now on the flip side, though, Williams is a double play candidate, much like Rio. If you get a ground ball hard right at someone, you can twist it up the middle.
So, this is Malik Williams, who historically is an extremely dangerous hitter for the Barrie Baycats. And he was very good in June. At one point, he was hitting .379 on the season. But then July has come around, and he has one hit the entire month. That's just one hit in his last 6 games. Checks a swing and takes a strike. So, struggling at the plate, but always a dangerous hitter.
Especially in this matchup, a lefty-righty Alvarado who doesn't throw super hard, a righty power bat, favors Williams.
And he lines it into the outfield. It's down for a base hit, and that's going to be more. It goes all the way to the wall. 2 runs come in to score, and Malik Williams is going to trot into second base. Oh, it was a close play as he wasn't hustling, but there was no one on the bag for the Maple Leafs either. And that is a 2-run double for Malik Williams. His second hit of July drives in 2 runs for the Barrie Baycats, and it's 4-0.
Perfectly timed, A fastball that Williams was all over, and he laced it into the gap. If
Number 6, Kyle May.
anybody other than Rio was running, it would be a 3-run double for Williams. But unfortunately for the Leafs, again, you cannot dig yourself into deeper and deeper holes and expect to come back and win ball games. They are not the team of 2-3 years ago.
Pitch in there for a strike to Kyle Maves, who's hitting 143 on the season, but in just 21 at-bats. And then Ricky Phillips is on deck. Here's the 0-1. That one misses inside, 1-1.
And how big was that full count hit by pitch to Ryan Rio now, eh? You get him to 2 strikes, you get him to look a little bit goofy on one of his swings, and you let one go, and it drills him in the shoulder.
Here's the 1-1 to Maves. Misses low and outside, and Ricky Phillips is hitting just .256 on the season, hitting behind Kyle Maves. He has 1 home run on the year, but it did come here at Dominico Field last time the Barrie Baycats were here. Alvarado needs to find the zone here. The 2-1. And it's just inside. 3-1. No one warming up in the bullpen for the Maple Leafs. They're hoping that Alvarado can give them some innings here. So this is Alvarado's game right here. The 3-1 pitch to Maves. And it's hit on the ground to first, scooped by Jordan Castaldo. Oh, what a play on that one. And he holds Ryan Rio at third base as well. We'll see how impactful that play is when things are all said and done here.
A very nice play by Jordan Castaldo. Knowing the runner at third is Ryan Rio, you have a little bit of extra time to scoop the ball up and take a look. And a very nice pick from the veteran over at first. And now Alvarado's 1 pitch away from getting out of this with the lead relatively comebackable.
Yeah. So this is Ricky Phillips. And he takes outside ball 1. In any other circumstance, Jordan Castaldo probably would have just waited on that ball and let it roll right into his glove and step on first base. But since he was also trying to hold the runner Rio at third base, he had to come in and pick it in dramatic fashion. The 1-0, a slow breaking ball finds the zone. Linus Alvarado might have taken a couple miles off that breaking ball to get the strike. Here's now leveled the count on Ricky Phillips. Phillips with a 1 home run on the season. It came at Dominico Field, and he's driven in 5 runs. The 1-1 fouled off. 1-2. And this is the batter right here for Linus Alvarado. He needs to try and strand Malik Williams and Ryan Rio on base if the Maple Leafs want to have a chance at coming back in this game. He's ahead in the count on Ricky Phillips. Brad McQuinn is on deck. The 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Another nasty breaking ball from Wilhenis Alvarado, and he gets a big strikeout here in the 3rd inning. A couple runs do come in to score for the Barrie Baycats, and now they lead 4-0 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Cole Murchison is going to lead things off for the Maple Leafs. Had a great outing against the Barrie Baycats last time he played them. Picked up a couple of hits and 4 at-bats. Frank Garces back on the mound for the Barrie Baycats and delivers strike 1 to Cole Murchison. Garces is 25 years old and plays a ton of baseball. This one's flared towards the outfield, but it's going to be caught by Hernandez, the shortstop. Garces for the last
Catcher number 20, Lachlan Modd.
10 years. Yeah, 10 years has been playing in the Dominican Winter League for a couple of different teams. Played on 2 different teams in the Dominican Winter League last year. Lachlan Modd, the catcher for the Maple Leafs, is at the plate. Frank Garces was also played a little bit of Major League Baseball as well. He came up through the San Diego Padres organization. That was back around 2011. And he had his cup of tea in the majors as well. Modd takes up and away. Carlos Sano, who's normally in the bullpen, last pitched against the Welland Jackfish in what was a huge game for the Barrie Baycats. They went up big early on, and then the Jackfish kind of crawled back into the game, and when it was all said and done, Barrie ended up winning 6-5. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Lachlan Modd. And that one misses up and away, but Gus, as you know, that game was not in the bag in the 9th inning for the Barrie Baycats. The Welland Jackfish made a huge base running mistake with nobody out and 2 runners on, and that basically gave Barrie the game. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Yeah, we were both watching it. It was a bit of an odd decision, a double steal that they attempted, and unfortunately didn't work out for Welland. But yeah, you talk about how Welland came back in that game. The first pitch after that horrific collision in right center field with Adam Ott and Noel Gary Doyle, the first pitch after that was Jake Sanford, I believe, who hit a 3-run home run to right field. And they kept trying in the 9th after the home run in the 8th, and they just couldn't pull it out. But a massive win for an understaffed Welland Jackfish squad. Excuse me, it was Grayson Barrett who hit that home run. Jake Sanford was up in the 9th inning when the game ended. He grounded out.
Vinicio taking a huge hack at a pitch that was up and away from Frank Garces. So the count's now 2-1. Jose Vinicio hitting just 183 on the season for the Maple Leafs. And he swings through another high pitch from Garces, and it's 2-2.
Just to wrap up that thought on the Welland Barrie game. Yeah, Barrie struggled all the way through it and pulled out a win. Chris Lazar, who pitched 3 innings earlier in that game, ended the game at first base. Ryan Lacasse had to play second base. He was the 3rd second baseman of that game for the Barrie Baycats after defensive substitutions and injuries. Zach Orchard hurt himself running up the first baseline on a bunt attempt in the 9th inning as well, and neither of those 3 players have stepped foot on the field since.
The full count pitch. This one's hit pretty well to left field, and it's over the head of Brad McQuinn. Jose Vinicio glides into second base, and he has himself a 2-out double.
Good piece of hitting there from Vinicio. Sat back, waited on that off-speed pitch from Garces, put it just over the head of Brad McQuinn out there in left field by about a foot or so, and another inning with another man in scoring position, this time with 2 out. Connor Lewis, one of the hottest Maple Leaf hitters up. Another Connor Lewis double down the left field line would be big here. He's done it a lot as of late.
Lewis fouls the first pitch off. On the season, hitting .254 coming into tonight's game. But had a hit against Brantford, and he had a stretch where he played Kitchener, Chatham, Kent, and London, where he was just smashing the baseball. Lewis hits this one softly on the ground towards second place, and throw to first is just in time. Kyle Naves had to get that one out of his glove quickly, and onto the first baseman, Nolan Macabroda, and they make a nice play out of it. The Toronto Maple Leafs get a double that failed to score in the inning, and it's the Barrie Baycats who lead 4-0 after 3. Welcome back to Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Wilhennis Alvarado on the mound for the Maple Leafs, facing the left fielder Brad McQuinn. First pitch missed, and now the 1-0. And McQuinn fists one towards the outfield over the head of Jose Vinicio into center. Connor Lewis there to pick it up, gets it back in quickly. And that'll bring up Kenise Ejo, who's already getting his third at-bat of the game.
A lot of weak contact we've seen so far off the bats of the Barrie Baycats. Effective nonetheless. The blooper down the left field line, a couple flares into the outfield. Outside of the home run from the man at the plate to lead off the ball game, not a whole lot of hard contact, but it's working.
Ejo fouls it off.
Very good approaches at the plate for the Barrie Baycats tonight. Two very, very different pitchers in Landon Leach and Wilhennis Alvarado. Both very good at times. Leach obviously a much harder thrower from the right side, and he's a bigger man out there on the mound as well.
The 1-0 to Ejo. That one finds the zone right at the knees. Kenise Ejo is another one of those players that came from the Frontier League, and you guessed it, the Trois-Rivières. Played there last season, and don't believe he's playing any professional baseball now, just here in the IBL. Here's the 0-2. On the ground, this could be two. Dan Mara flips to second. Jose Vinicio to first in time to get the out. A double play, and now things look a lot better for Wilhennis Alvarado.
Yeah, it's what you need, a hard hit ball right at someone. It's a thing of beauty when it happens with a man on base. The Leafs couldn't get it the last couple innings. They get one here, and D just jammed him, hit hard, just hard enough to Dan Mara at second base.
And no one on base for Brandon Hernandez, which is a good thing for the Maple Leafs as a breaking ball finds the zone from Alvarado. Brandon Hernandez had 3 hits against the Welland Jackfish. He was 3 for 5 with a couple RBIs. And then in the Barrie Baycats' last win against the Kitchener Panthers, where they won 10-5, he was 4 for 5, scored 3 times, hit a home run, also drove in a run and stole a base just for good measure. The 0-2 count. Swing and a miss, strike 3, a high fastball, and that's a quick inning for Wilhenis Alvarado, who might be starting to find a groove here for the Maple Leafs. It's a 4-0 lead for the Barrie Baycats. You're watching Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP. Well, we were talking about the body of work that Ryan Dos Santos has had against the Barrie Baycats this season. There haven't been a lot of Maple Leafs that have had good numbers against the Barrie Baycats. Ryan Dos Santos hasn't just had good numbers, he's had great numbers against the Barrie Baycats. He's already had 17 at-bats against them, 7 hits, a couple doubles, he's stolen a couple bases. Strikeouts are a bit high, but a .411 batting average, and he most likely, he is going to be up this inning, I believe, batting second.
Yeah, you'll take what you can get anytime any one of your players can put up those numbers against a really, really good team. In this case, the second place team in the IBL. You'll take them 100% of the time, and especially with how tough lefty on lefty it's been this year, and facing Frank Garces. Jordan Castaldo is about to experience a lefty-lefty matchup here as well. Three straight lefties to start the inning. Castaldo, Salazzo, and Dos Santos.
Yeah, it looked like the Welland Jackfish were just going to run away with things in first place in the Intercounty Baseball League, but then the Barrie Baycats beat them, and that kind of changed the picture a little bit. Baycats are now 3 games out of first place. They also have the London Majors, who are half a game behind them, who are making their case to be the top spot in the IBL. As Castaldo swings through the first 2 pitches from the tough lefty Garces. But that win against Welland, the Baycats are back in contention. They have 2 games in hand on the Jackfish and are 3 games back.
And Welland's lost 2 in a row now. They're struggling just a little bit.
3 straight pitches. Jordan Castaldo swings through all of them for Frank Garces. He did not see him well in that at-bat. And now it's John Salazzo, who hit a ringing double off the wall, off the tall part of the wall out there in right center field. In his last at-bat. John Salazzo, I think he's just getting better and better at hitting lefty pitching because he sees it so much in the Intercounty Baseball League. Frank Garces especially is a guy that the Barrie Baycats will throw against the Maple Leafs quite often, just with the amount of lefties that are in the lineup for Toronto.
That was a very effective quick pitch there from Frank Garces.
5 pitches, 5 strikes here in the bottom of the 4th. Now the 0-2. And it's chopped on the ground to second base. Kyle Maves gets a high hop, whips to first just in time. Oh, John Salazzo was hustling down the first baseline. And he was thrown out by half a step.
Another high hop at second base. We've seen a number of those. But props to Salaza for almost beating that one out. Kyle Maves out there double clutched it a little bit. I'm not sure if he didn't have a great grip on the ball, but that second clutching of the baseball almost allowed Salaza to beat it out.
Yeah, the reason he had to do that was because he got an awful hop at second base. It almost went right over his head. And it wasn't like it was the first hop or second hop that went over his head. It was like the third or fourth. And it just, I guess, caught a piece of dirt and went straight up. And Kyle Maves, who's not particularly tall out there at second base, had to jump to get that baseball.
Hit a rock at Christie Pitts? No.
Yeah.
When's that ever happened?
Yeah, probably wasn't it. Frank Garces is throwing 7 strikes and no balls in the inning, and now delivers high finally. That was, I know the immaculate inning thing is off the table, but that was 6 pitches, 6 strikes and 2 outs for Frank Garces to start the inning. And now it's chopped on the ground to third. Malik Williams goes back a couple steps, bounces it to first base, and it gets away from Macabroda. That'll probably go down as an error on the Barrie Baycats third baseman, and Marcus Connect is aboard.
Yeah, absolutely that'll go down as an error. He backed up on it, relied on his arm strength, and Mackie Broda couldn't bail him out over at first base. Connect, not a fast runner by any means, wasn't gunning it down the line the way that we've seen Ryan Dos Santos or even Jonathan Salaza this inning do. And again, the Maple Leafs catch a break, third straight inning with a man on base. See if they can capitalize on it. When teams gift you men on base, you have to take advantage.
That pitch finds the outside corner on Ryan Dos Santos.
And for a team that is as patient as the Leafs, that walks as much as they do, it's tough to do that against a guy like Garces who's throwing nothing but strikes.
The 1-0. Dos Santos lines it up the middle, and the Maple Leafs have 2 aboard with 2 outs after Frank Garces was dominant on the first 2 outs of the inning. And now for the second at-bat in a row, Dan Mara finds himself in an RBI situation with 2 outs.
Ryan Dos Santos once again, his 8th hit against Barrie this season, a sharp line drive right back through the box up the middle. And for the second time this game, Dan Mara will step at the plate with 2 out and a man in scoring position.
Dan Mara is hitting .234 on the season for the Maple Leafs. And he takes inside. Jacob blocks it as it bounced on the way in. And it's 1-0, and how an inning can change after the Maple Leafs get a couple aboard. Garces was in a rhythm. He was quick pitching batters, and now he's going to have to battle here against Dan Mara to get out of the inning. The 1-0. That one finds the zone. Perfect pitch on the inside corner. It's 1-1.
And we've seen it with Garces, as fantastic as he's been. He gives up contact. He's not a big strikeout guy.
The 1-1 pitch hit on the ground. Second chance for Malik Williams. He throws to first and bounces it again, and it also isn't picked up by Nolan Mackie-Broda. Another error for Malik Williams in the inning, and the Bushmen are chanting down the left field line error. They have been the entire inning to Malik Williams, and you can't help but wonder if that's starting to play a bit of a factor, as Malik Williams has made 2 straight errors at third base.
Yeah, and that second one that we just saw, he did receive a tough hop. He was expecting it to be a chest-high hop, and it hit a lip and died on him. And I think that probably had to speed up his throw. He wasn't prepared for it. And again, Mackie Broda couldn't pick it at first. And if you're the Leafs, you've been gifted 2 runners this inning. Now is the time to take advantage of that fact. Very rarely can you have 2 men on base with 2 errors in an inning and not score and find yourself still in the ball game.
And it's Cole Murchison, and he takes low. He just missed it. Frank Garces, ball 1. Cole Murchison had 2 hits against the Barrie Baycats back on July 4th. 2 for 4 in the game. The 1-0. Murchison hits it hard on the ground, but that one's scooped up by Kyle Maves. He throws to first in time. The Maple Leafs get some production with 2 outs in the inning. They load the bases, but they cannot score once again against Frank Garces and the Barrie Baycats, who lead 4-0 over the Maple Leafs. So this is Noel McGarry Doyle, who is not in the lineup for the Barrie Baycats. Obviously suffered that injury against the Welland Jackfish, and just to emphasize how big of a bat he is for Barrie, that's not in the lineup, hitting .436 on the season. He's got a ton of speed when he gets on base, and he hasn't played a ton this year. He kind of joined late to the Baycats, but he's a guy that they would love to have hitting on the leadoff spot right now if they could.
Absolutely. You take him out of the lineup, you take Adam Odd, who's been there and done that, out of the lineup. You're losing two quality veteran bats. And, you know, McGarry Doyle has been fantastic this season, as we've talked about, and he's also a guy who's been on the team for quite some time. You know, they like him. He's much like the way that the Leafs have found themselves with a lot of players over the years that will play a bunch and leave and come back. He's been with the Baycats. He's been a big part of their success. And again, nothing but the best thoughts from McGarry Doyle and Adam Odd and Zach Orchard after a very, very tough game in Welland.
Good thing they came away with the win, though, eh?
Oh, absolutely.
It's the catcher, Hayden Jaco. He takes well inside from Alvarado, ball one.
And we've talked about it for a number of reasons, primarily of which being Welland being so gosh darn good for the last number of years. That's why teams don't want to go play Welland and Welland, is their stadium, their fans, the venue down there. It plays a big part in the outcome of games, but moreover, teams don't want to play in Welland. Bad things always seem to happen. You know, Barrie wins the game, but they lose 3 players. The Leafs have had trouble down in Welland this year too. It's a very tough place to play in. Very far.
The 1-1 is well up and away there to Hayden Jaco, so now the count's 2-1. Well, Hennis Alvarado looked like he had a bit of control issues in the first inning he pitched. That was back in the third. Then he came out in the fourth and was brilliant. And now he's missed the zone a couple times with that breaking ball here in the fifth.
Chris Nagorski's another arm in that bullpen. I would not at all be surprised to see get some work today. It's some of those guys down there haven't pitched in quite a little bit of time.
The 3-1. Inside, ball 4. Alvarado kind of had a long look in there. Yeah, this is Chris Nagorski's team, the Barrie Baycats. The Maple Leafs are fortunate to have him, but Chris Nagorski won 5 championships, 5 in a row with the Barrie Baycats. Also is the all-time saves leader in their organization. This is Nolan Macabroda at the plate. He takes strike 1. Alvarado's confident in that breaking ball right now. He's throwing it a lot. This time he finds the zone.
Well, when you have 2 pitches and one can't find the zone at all, you have nowhere else to turn, right? When you're a 2-pitch pitcher, you have to rely on both of them working in tandem effectively, and they haven't.
The 1-0 cue shot off the end of the bat by Macabroda. It's foul. Alvarado jumps ahead 0-2.
Toronto's newest signee, Mike Sassetto, also a former Barrie Baycat. Got a couple guys on this current squad that have seen some time in Barrie. Jordan Castaldo, obviously, another one.
Yeah.
His best years out in Barrie up north.
Macabroda takes just low. Yeah, Mike Sassetto actually started his career with the Maple Leafs, but it was very brief. He just played 4 games here. Then went off, had a stint with Barrie, and played for Guelph this season, and now has been picked up by the Maple Leafs. Here's the 1-2. And it's fouled off, and wow, Nolan Macabroda was way in front of that pitch. He hit that ball when it was directly in front of him over his front hip just to stay alive. But also goes to show that the Barrie Baycats have found a way to get to that breaking ball of Hennis Alvarado.
Yeah, those are the types of swings that we've seen a lot of this game, both from Landon Leach in the first couple innings, getting choppy last-second cuts at breaking pitches, and in Alvarado's case there, and unfortunately for Lachlan Maud, who just got drilled by the foul tip. It's resulted in base runners. Bloopy hits into the outfield, choppers down the line. A lot of odd-looking swings, but guess what? It's working, and Barrie will take that.
The 2-1. Another one of those odd-looking swings chopped into the Baycats bullpen. Nolan Macabrota hitting .313 on the season with 4 home runs and 16 RBIs. Here comes another 1-2 pitch from Wilhelmus Alvarado. And it's fouled off again. And if Alvarado keeps getting swings like that, he's going to keep throwing the breaking ball. He's thrown it 3 consecutive times. And he might just go back to it.
I don't see a reason why you wouldn't at this point. I mean, you're down 4-0. You're just trying to get quick outs. Your slider's been so effective when you've thrown it well. You've seen the swings that Nolan Macabrota has had this at-bat.
He's going with the fastball. Here's the 1-2. And he got him. Fastball painted over the outside corner, and Macabrota was well behind it. Big strikeout there for Alvarado.
Absolutely it is. And now with 1 out, a man on first with Ryan Rio coming up. Again, the double play possibility is in effect, even if it's not a massively hard hit ball.
They're going to try and jam Ryan Rio with the fastball in. A swing and a miss.
Yeah, and in a case like that, on the inside part of the plate, you're just hoping that he rolls over on one to either Castaldo or Dan Mara on the right side.
Back to the breaking ball here. He gets another swing and a miss.
When it's working, it's very, very good. It is one of the hardest pitches to pick up when it's working. Dan Mara playing almost halfway in between first and second on the right side as Castaldo holds on the runner.
Fastball, this one's drilled out to left field. Ryan Dos Santos with some room, and he makes the catch right in front of the wall, 2 away. That was an interesting one there. I've kind of zoned into the signs between Lachlan Maud and Wilhelmus Alvarado. Lachlan Maud called for a fastball twice there. And Wilhelmus Alvarado said yes on the second time.
Well, on that last pitch, it was lucky that Ryan Rio got just under, and he still hit it quite the distance out to left field. Got away with the fastball there, and now he's 1 pitch out of the inning.
Malik Williams hit a big RBI double in his last at-bat. Drove in 2 runs for the Barrie Baycats and made it 4-0 where we sit right now. Pitch number 58 coming up here from Alvarado. And it finds the zone. Runner going, delayed steal, and safe at second base. It was kind of a delayed steal.
Nobody picked up on it. Poor communication all around on the infield there. Nobody picked up on it until it was too late. Lachlan Maud, by the time he stood up, the runner was about 4/5 of the way to second base and no shot to throw him out there.
Yeah, that was
a heads-up play by Barrie.
Kind of a weird one there from Hayden Jaco. It wasn't like he waited until Lachlan Maud was throwing it back to the pitcher or anything like that. He just kind of went late, and no one expected it. And now he's at second base, and that's big. He's in scoring position now for Malik Williams. The 1-2 pitch from Alvarado. A high chopper for Jose Vinicio. He gets the big friendly hop and throws out Malik Williams. Another scoreless frame turned in by Wilhelmus Alvarado. And the bats of the Maple Leafs coming up. They got their work cut out for them as they trail 4-0 to Barrie. Oh, welcome back to Maple Leafs Baseball on YouTube, brought to you by MNP, National in Scope, Local in Focus. MNP is one of Canada's leading professional services firms, proudly serving individuals, businesses, and organizations since 1958. Back on the mound is Frank Garces, and the first pitch is fouled off by Lachlan Maud. Maple Leafs have 9-1-2 coming up in their order. Jose Venicio is the on-deck batter.
Frank Garces this season against the Leafs has now thrown 15 innings and allowed only 3 earned runs.
The 0-1, swing and a miss by Lachlan Maud, 0-2. Frank Garces coming into today struck out 48 batters in just 43 and a third innings pitched. Now the 0-2 pitch, and Maud fights it off. Good crowd today at Dominico Field. A lot of fans up on the hillside. And it's a beautiful night for baseball as well. The 0-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Nasty breaking ball there from Garces.
Lachlan Maud has not had fun at the plate tonight against Frank Garces, and many Leafs haven't looked very comfortable. It's interesting. Garces doesn't throw super hard. He mixes his pitches well, quick pitches on the odd occasion, and he's had a lot of success. The Leafs have been getting guys on. It's just they haven't been able to capitalize on the mistakes of the Baycats or the odd hit that they do get.
Jose Venicio has a big cut and fouls it straight back. Venicio had a ringing double to left field in his last at-bat. The 1-1. Check swing on a pitch that was inside. I think the first base umpire made the call there. So it was a strike, 1-2.
Pitch came eerily close to hitting Jose Venicio. Slider down and in, almost hit him on the back foot, but he swung through it.
The 1-2, another check swing, and he went around again. Strike 3. 2 strikeouts to start the inning for Frank Garces.
Center fielder number 4, Connor Lewis.
Well, the Maple Leafs got something going with 2 outs last inning, but they weren't able to score. They're in the same situation here once again. Frank Garces gets 2 quick outs. Now it's Connor Lewis coming up, trying to work some 2-out magic. And that he is. He lays a bunt down, and it gets by Garces, and he did it perfectly. Well, I talked to Connor Lewis about hitting in the 2 spot. That one was a bunt single, but one of the things he specifically said about wanting to help the team hitting up in the lineup in the 2 spot was lay down more bunts. And he does that right here, and it was a beauty. So now there's a runner on for Jordan Castaldo, and obviously the thinking there for Connor Lewis was get on base and see if Jordan Castaldo can hit a home run or a double.
Yeah, he caught him by surprise. He pushed it just far enough past Frank Garces on the right side of infield. We've seen the speed that Connor Lewis has, and as soon as Garces didn't get to it, nobody else was going to grab that baseball.
Big swing and a miss there from Jordan Castaldo. He may have been trying to find some of that extra base power right there.
The Leafs have had a man on base every inning except the first.
Yeah, no runs on 4 hits for Toronto so far. The 0-1. And it's fouled off. Jordan Castaldo had a pretty good cut at that one. Castaldo is hitting .278 on the season. He's hit 4 home runs, and he's driven in 21 runs, which is particularly interesting because he's been in the leadoff spot for a good amount of the season, but he's still has 21 RBIs. Here's the 0-2, and it's slashed right to third base. Malik Williams was positioned in the perfect spot. He makes the catch, and that'll do it for the Maple Leafs in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's the Barrie Baycats who lead 4-0 over Toronto as we head to the 6th. 4-0 Barrie Baycats here at Dominico Field. Kyle Maves leading things off for the Barrie Baycats. He's the second baseman tonight, and he's squaring around a bunt. Connor Lewis had a bunt single last inning, and then Jordan Castaldo lined out to third base. And Maple Leafs starting to feel the pressure a little bit here in this game. They felt like they've had some opportunities to score, but just haven't been able to cash in the runs for one reason or another. Maves chops one on the ground. Jose Vinicio gets a bad hop, but stays with it. Throws to first in time to get the out. Boy, that ball was going up the middle and then went right back to Jose Vinicio's right, and he stayed with it to record the out.
Yeah, another very tough hop. We've seen it at second, we've seen it at third, now we've seen it at short. The infielders are getting their work in today at Christie Pitts, and it's something that we've seen quite a bit of this season.
Alvarado delivers just outside. And that one finds the zone. It's 1-1.
Another good slider from Alvarado to get right back in the count there.
Check swing. Did he go? No, says the first base umpire. Some displeasure from the Maple Leafs side of things.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you're down by 4. You haven't been able to score on offense. You've been struggling a bit this season, and you've had every call go against you, whether it's been a called strike on your hitter on a check swing or a no swing for the other guys. And there's grumblings and mumbles in the dugout. I think they've got about every single call right so far. It looks like when the Leafs have check swung, they've swung, and when Barrie has, they haven't.
Here's the 3-1. Fouled off. Now Hennis Alvarado will try and get another win in the zone here to get Ricky Phillips.
Be very important for Alvarado if he can go 3 up, 3 down this inning. 7, 8, 9. Like we said, no easy part in the Baycats lineup, but can end it at the bottom.
A chopper to second. Dan Mara has it. Whips to first. Not in time. That was going to have to be a very tough play for Dan Mara. Some light action in the bullpen for the Maple Leafs. Julian Tomachko was throwing a little bit, but he's not throwing a baseball, he's throwing a football. Chris Nagorski is the one playing catch with him. That's something that we've seen a lot from Chris Nagorski. Loves to throw that football around. Julian Tomachko's getting in the action. Brad McQuinn, the batter, the left fielder tonight for Barrie. I imagine that football is kind of like the weighted ball program. Throw something a bit heavier, get the arm speed up.
Plyo balls, but more fun?
Yeah. It's kind of a different motion, though. Nah, it's similar, I guess. Here's the 1-0. Swing and a miss.
Alec Manoah had a very large repertoire before games when he starts, including throwing a football. He's the one that comes to the top of my mind at the moment. Checking on the other game right now in Brantford. Hamilton's up 4-1 on the Red Sox, which is good news for the Leafs, although it matters not if you cannot score runs, and both the Brantford Red Sox and the Maple Leafs are struggling tonight to do that.
The 1-1. Fouled off to left. Yeah, but regardless of the Maple Leafs win here today, it's important for them that the Brantford Red Sox lose if they want to get back into that playoff picture. When you're at the bottom of the standings in the Intercounty Baseball League, there aren't a lot of wins to be had. So when you do get them, they're even bigger than if you're at the top of the standings. And that might be the case between Toronto, Brantford, Kitchener, and Chatham-Kent, who are the bottom teams right now in the IBL. The 1-2. And Alvarado just missed.
Even Hamilton as of late. You know, the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers are 1 win behind the Hamilton Cardinals. They've had two extended periods this season where they've struggled, and we've seen how good they can be. They have a very good team. They just haven't been able to be consistently there on offense and pitching at the same time.
The 2-2 inside, throw down to second base, in time! What a throw and what a tag by Jose Vinicio, and that's gonna end the inning for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brad McQuinn stranded in the batter's box, and the Maple Leafs and Dionysius Chialtis and Lachlan Mott are hyped up after that one. Still going at it, the Maple Leafs dugout. All right, we'll take a quick break and be right back. 4-0 Barrie Baycats here on the Maple Leafs YouTube channel. Back here at Dominico Field, John Salazzo at the plate. Frank Garces back on the mound for a 6th inning of work for the Barrie Baycats, and he has been phenomenal to this point. No earned runs allowed through the first 5. He's worked out of some jams though. John Salazzo cues this one foul, so the count's now 1-1.
He's had a number of stressful pitches. You're absolutely correct, Thomas. I mean, the last 4 innings, the Leafs getting guys on base, whether it's 1 man on second and 2 out, the bases loaded and 2 out, Connor Lewis laying down that butt last inning and Garces having to get it. There have been stressful moments. He's just handled it very admirably and pitched out of all of them.
Oh, and misses outside to John Salazzo. The big thing for Frank Garces, he hasn't walked anyone today. Maple Leafs have 4 hits, but they've had to earn every single one of them other than the 2 errors where they were able to get a runner on. Salazzo takes high, 3-1.
And unfortunately, when a team gifts you 2 errors in the same inning, you have got to take advantage of that. The Leafs couldn't do it. We've seen it a number of times this year where they couldn't do it. Very rarely can you get 2 men on as freebies.
Swing and a miss. Gutsy pitch there on the 3-1. Now it's a full count. Frank Garces has pitched 274 innings in the Intercounty Baseball League, and he's only walked 36 guys.
He's a strike thrower.
Yeah.
As we're seeing tonight.
3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A frustrated John Salazzo heads back to the dugout. He's also struck out 332 batters over those 274 innings pitched. So that's a really good ratio, whether it be strikeouts per 9 or the walk to strikeout ratio.
And he's only in his 4th season.
Marcus Connect at the plate for the Maple Leafs. The 0-1. Connect fouls it off, and look who's ahead in the count again. Frank Garces. He fell behind John Salazar, struck him out, and now he's up 0-2 on Marcus Connect.
No reason to deviate from a game plan that's working with Frank Garces right now, and he's been rolling right along, and these Leafs hitters can't keep up.
The 0-2. And he just missed high.
Even his balls are missing ever so slightly. He's all around the plate. Very few times has he let one rip.
Connect has put the ball in play twice, but is 0 for 2. Takes high, 2-2. Just missed one when he flew out to left field earlier in the game. And a pitch on the inside corner just missed. So Marcus Connect, who was behind in the count 0-2, has worked it back full.
Another quick pitch there from Garces. It's been working all game. Tried to get Connect looking there. Froze him up a little bit. And now Connect will use his one timeout. I mentioned it earlier how quickly Garces works. We haven't seen a whole lot of it, batters stepping out. They've been right there ready for the challenge. It's just that Garces has been winning.
Yeah. Marcus Connect slows it down a bit here. So the full count pitch. And Connect gets a hold of this one. This one's to right field, and it's caught right in front of the wall. Nice running catch by Ricky Phillips. It's going to bring Ryan Dos Santos to the plate, hitting .327 now on the season. One of the all-star candidates for the Maple Leafs. He'll be in Welland on Saturday. And you know, it's a quick turnaround for these Maple Leafs players that are at the All-Star game because they got a game on Sunday. Come back from Welland after the festivities of the All-Star game on Saturday, and got a game right back here at Christie Pitts. All right, Dos Santos takes a strike on the outside corner from Garces. Dan Mara is 0 for 2 if Ryan Dos Santos can get on base. Dos Santos with his hit today raised his batting average 4 points on the season. He might have another one. A line drive to left. Now that one's going to hang up just a little bit too much. A running catch made by Brad McQuinn, and that'll do it for the Maple Leafs in the 6th. This time they go 1-2-3 against Frank Garces. And we're starting to run out of outs here against the Barrie Baycats, who are holding on to a 4-0 lead. Well, I got a chance to speak with Connor Lewis after the Maple Leafs 6-4 win against the Brantford Red Sox, and he had an interesting message about how the Maple Leafs players are feeling. He said, same thing, different year. Talking about the Maple Leafs record, we are the Leafs. We're a veteran team, and we just need to make the playoffs. There are other teams, they being the other IBL teams, would like to see other than us. And the Maple Leafs, who need to get into that playoff spot, I think a lot of the players on the team would echo that message that Connor Lewis had. They still have a lot of confidence in themselves. They know that they have not played well this season. That is obviously evident to them. But they are a team that knows that they have been able to pull things together in the playoffs. And although they are a little bit further behind the 8 ball right now than they have been in the past, they are not a team that someone would want to play in the first round of the playoffs, because like they'd much rather play a team like Brantford or Kitchener, just with the sleeping firepower that's on the Maple Leafs team right now. Well, Hennis Alvarado back on the mound for Toronto, facing 1, 2, 3 in the order for the Barrie Baycats. Ejo lays down a perfect bunt down the line. Alvarado letting it roll, and it's foul. Oh, it went towards foul territory and then back towards fair territory and then eventually rolled foul. And that was a smart play by Alvarado to let it go.
It was, and for a split second, I thought that ball had hit the back of Ejo's right foot, and that's why it took a little bit of a hop. They're saying it hit off the lip. I don't know if we'll get a second look at that. And clearly both umpires had a very good view of it. But from up here, my first thought immediately was that when that ball stalled for a half second and popped up.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think you're right. I think it just hit off the lip.
Pitch inside to Ejo, so the count's now 1-1 after the bunt attempt.
But a very good decision to let it roll. I mean, Alvarado would have had to get over there and have a spin and fire, and he would not have got the speedy Ejo. So a very wise decision, both him and Lachlan Maud.
The 1-1 ripped down the line, and that one's just foul. The reason that you thought that bunt hit the foot of Ejo is because it took a really unlucky bounce for Ejo.
It did.
It looked like it was going fair, and then it just took a right-hand turn and into foul territory. Fortunate for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, had that ball hit Ejo's foot, he would have been out, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. And
now Ejo calls time. Behind in the count against Alvarado, 1-2. But he had a hard hit ball on the last pitch. And he has another one, this time to shortstop. Jose Vinicio gets it on a big hop, whips it to first. In time for out number 1. Well, Hennis Alvarado gave up a couple runs in the third, but he had a scoreless fourth, a scoreless fifth, and a scoreless sixth, and trying to do the same here in the seventh.
Shortstop, number 11.
That's Julian Tomachko, who's warming up with Dionysius Chialtis down there in the bullpen.
another really good slider right there from Hennis Alvarado, getting Hernandez to chase at it and just nick it foul.
Yeah, believe it or not, the Maple Leafs have been able to keep Brandon Hernandez relatively quiet. They've struck him out twice. He has walked once. Officially 0 for 2. That one's inside 1-1. And we mentioned that's significant because of how well Brandon Hernandez has played lately. He had 3 hits against the Welland Jackfish and 4 hits against the Kitchener Panthers, so 7 in his last 2 games. That one misses just inside. Alvarado a long look back to home plate and a bit of a sarcastic smile after that pitch as well. So he'll have to shake things off and refocus now down in the count 2-1. And he jams them. A slow roller to Dan Barrie. Scoops it up. Throws to first. Just in time. Brandon Hernandez hustling down the line, but it had to be a perfect play from Dan Mara, and it was.
Yeah, it's not a flashy play, but it's a heck of a play from Dan Mara. He ranged very far in. He wasn't as far back as he was right now with Hayden Jekyll out there, as he's playing right on the edge of the grass at the moment. But he had to come in a long way, and any split-second pause, if he didn't get a grip on that ball, he had to fire a strike on a very hard sidearm toss to Castaldo at first, and an excellent play from Dan Mara.
0-1 the count now on Hayden Jaco, the number 3 hitter. Alvarado misses up and away 1-1.
And as we continue to watch the Brantford game, Brantford was pressing in the bottom of the third. They had runners on first and third, and they could not score, so they head to the fourth. Hamilton still up 4-1 in that game.
Another breaking ball just misses low. That was pitch number 86 from Hennis Alvarado.
Yeah, his pitch count's getting up there. He's thrown a lot of quality pitches so far. Tomachko will likely come in next inning.
Back to the breaking ball here. And it just missed outside. And Alvarado has had some qualms with the calls by the home plate umpire this inning. Takes a deep breath. Now the 3-1. That check swing. Did he go around? Yes, the home plate umpire calls that one himself. So now the count's 3-2. A lot of breaking balls this inning again from Wilhennis Alvarado. He's been all around the strike zone, which is right where you want to be with that nasty slider. The 3-2 pitch. On the ground to shortstop. Vinicio on the backhand. Slings it to first, and it's wild and up the first baseline. Good play by Lachlan Maud to hustle over there and back things up at first. So Hayden Jaco is going to have to hold his ground there on first base.
Not a good throw by any means from Jose Vinicio, but at the same time, I don't think there's a chance he would have got him anyways, even if the throw was on line. Hayden Jaco runs too well, even as a catcher. It would have been a tough play. Vinicio had to backhand it in the hole, and no legitimate shot at throwing him out.
So the cleanup hitter, Nolan Mackey-Broda, with a runner on first base. And then Ryan Rio on deck. Two outs in the inning. Another breaking ball there from Alvarado. And that one missed outside, 1-0. I think that's 6 straight breaking balls now from Alvarado. The 1-0. Another one. This one finds the zone. It's 1-1. Call that 7 in a row. Lachlan Maud calls it. Alvarado shakes his head yes. The 1-1. Breaking ball hit on the ground. Diving is Dan Mara, and it just gets past him. A soft hit single to keep the inning going from Nolan Mackey-Broda. 8 breaking balls in a row from Wilhennis Alvarado, and he's got the result he wants off the bat, but just hasn't been able to record that out yet with the error and then the single.
And I imagine that one way or another, this will be the last batter for Wilhennis Alvarado with Malik Williams, a righty on deck. Tomachko's just finished his warm-ups down in the pen. His pitch count where it's at. If he can get his man here, it'll be great. But if not, Tomachko will come in to face Williams righty on righty.
Yeah, the pitch count's at 93 now for Alvarado. He's facing Ryan Rio.
And he's done his job. He gave up a couple runs. He's had shaky moments, but for the most part, the Leafs have done their job defensively and on the mound this game. It's only 4-0. This team, at times, can score runs. It's still a very tight game, and Alvarado's done quite a job out there.
The 0-1, and Ryan Rio swings over the top of it. Now, if you remember last at-bat, Alvarado was giving Ryan Rio a steady diet of breaking balls, and then he threw a fastball up and away, and Ryan Rio drilled it to left field, but Ryan Dos Santos had just enough room to make the catch. Might switch up the strategy this time around. The 0-2. A breaking ball, and he got him. Strike 3 called. Wilhennis Alvarado gets out of the inning, and the Maple Leafs have just 9 outs to work with here, and the bottom of the 7th trailing 4-0. Well, taking a look at the newest addition to the Toronto Maple Leafs, this is Mike Cicetto, and he's had a long IBL career, played for a couple of different teams, 83 games in the Intercounty Baseball League. This is him playing with the Barrie Baycats that you see on the screen. Played there for a couple of years and started his career back with the Toronto Maple Leafs for 4 games back in 2018. The first base position, which is the one that Mike Cicetto plays, is pretty clogged up at the moment for the Maple Leafs.
A little bit.
Especially with the veteran Jordan Castaldo there, but just the veteran presence of having Mike Cicetto on the team is obviously something that the Maple Leafs wanted to have with his experience in the IBL, and he'll probably get some at-bats off the bench as we see the season go along this year. But from what I'm told, Mike Cicetto is a good guy to have around the team.
Yeah, affectionately known as Chech, coached me for a couple years. Very, very nice man. Speaking of new Leafs, Lucas Alberti, who's played a number of games this season as a youngster, as a junior comp, is on deck in the spot of Cole Murchison, opting for a righty on lefty matchup.
Yeah, and Frank Garces' pitch count is at 96. Here's a bunt by Dan Mara, perfectly placed. Malik William whips it down the first baseline. Or was that ball caught by Mackie Broda? Oh, it was. Holy cow. He went up a long way to make that catch on a ball that clearly looked like it slipped out of the hand of Malik Williams at third base.
And I think that was, firstly, it was a great play to catch it, but I think that was an intentional fake out, because when you're running down the first baseline, all Dan Mara would have had to do is turn his shoulder inwards towards second base to make a motion as if he was going to second base. And with Mackie Broda down there holding the ball, all he would have had to do was tag him out. Mara didn't fall for it, and a great play to get the ball, but then an even better play to, intentionally or not, fake out Mara. Try to fake out Mara at first base.
Lucas Alberti takes well inside, ball 1. So runner on first base to lead off the inning, and Alberti pops this one up on the infield. Hayden Jaco coming out, now gives way to Nolan Macabroda, who makes the catch. Yeah, Macabroda, you can see how tall he is there walking by Hayden Jaco. Big 6'4" kid from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So Lachlan Maud now comes to the plate. Well, that guy can't be mistaken. That's Brad Grieveson warming up in the bullpen for the Barrie Baycats. He's just starting to get loose. Maud takes low ball 1 from Garces and puts up the hand, signaling that to Dan Mara that ball did not get away from the catcher Jaco.
Grieveson, the longest tenured Barrie Baycats. He's had a number of terrific seasons for him in the past. Also one of the pitching advisors on the team.
Hard hit ball through the left side by Lachlan Maud. And he has himself a single, and the Maple Leafs have something going here in the bottom of the 7th.
And Lachlan Maud is smiling down at first base. He knows he needed that. He's had a tough game so far against Garces in the last couple games. They've relied heavily on him in the absence of Justin Mara. He needed that hit badly, and he gets one there, and now the Leafs once again have 2 men on against Garces, looking to jump back in this game.
And Vinicio bunts, but he popped it up. All hands get back to their bases safely, and now there's 2 away, and that did not work out the way Jose Vinicio intended it.
I don't understand that play at all. You're down by 4. You've bunted a couple times this game effectively. Yes, you've pushed one to the left of Garces, and you just bunted one down the third baseline, but you can't get carried away on that. I'm kind of shocked. The Vinicio hasn't looked good at the plate today. He hit the double, he laced it over McQuinn's head in left field.
So now it's Connor Lewis coming up in a big spot. Frank Garces is on the verge of escaping danger once again in this game. The 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. as Garces is blowing 2 fastballs by Connor Lewis. The 0-2 pitch to Lewis, and he fights it off. Nice job there by Connor Lewis to stay alive after he didn't see the first 2 pitches very well. Jordan Castaldo looming on deck if Lewis can keep the line going. The 0-2 pitch, and Lewis hits it on the ground to third base, and Malik Williams will go touch the bag at third. And it's been a tough day in the field for Malik Williams. Happy that he had the force out there at third base, and Frank Garces gets through a jam once again. He's pitched 7 scoreless innings against the Maple Leafs. Top of the 8th inning, and it's Malik Williams leading things off for the Barrie Baycats, and he's going to face a new pitcher into the game for the Maple Leafs. That's Julian Tomachko.
Tomachko has only pitched once this month, hasn't worked since July 3rd. It'll be very interesting to see where he's at. We've seen him throw a number of bullpens during games down the left field line, but his last outing came against Kitchener in a 10-2 loss, and he threw a clean inning of work. Walked one, struck out one, but he has been off the mound for a number of weeks now.
1-0, and that one misses outside.
And I also wonder if that's a little bit of how much they worked him in the first half of the season. For quite a while, Tomachko was leading the IBL in most appearances. They were using him a lot. They were trying to turn him into a multi-inning leverage guy, and I wouldn't be shocked if they just said, hey, we want to give you a little bit of a break here because we've used you so much in comparison to previous seasons and the workload that he's accumulated over the last couple of years. For a long time, he's been a one-inning guy.
3-0 the count here on Malik Williams, and he misses outside ball 4, so a 4-pitch walk to lead off the top of the 8th. Yeah, Gus, you are correct in that. I was talking to Julian Tomachko the other day, and actually I think it was after the Kitchener game, and he had just mentioned in passing, I didn't even bring it up or anything like that, that he liked going one inning a lot more than 2 innings. That's where he feels his sweet spot is right now. And you know, Julian Tomachko, I would describe his performance this year as solid. Like he has never had a blow-up game, as this is a bunt to third base. John Salasso charged hard, throws to first, and it's going to pull Jordan Castaldo off the bag. So the first two will reach here as Ricky Phillips gets on with the bunt single.
A good effort there from Salazzo, but jumping back to Tomashko for a second, this is Tomashko's 13th appearance this season for the Leafs. He has walked a batter now in every single appearance.
Yeah, which is something that isn't helping him.
No, and it's something he's worked on. Last season we saw it a lot with Evan Elliott and the struggle to try and overcome that. 4 straight balls to open up this inning, and now a bunt single won't get him much help as the Leafs creep in and scores the bunt again. It's the right decision by Barrie. You're up by 4. It's a pretty convincing 4, but at this point in the ball game, more doesn't hurt. You're at the bottom of the lineup after Phillips. It'll be McQuinn, who's a lefty. Righty-righty matchup, nobody out. You get those runners over to second and third, and then a single drives in 2.
Here's the 0-1. Bunting again down the first baseline, and Jordan Castaldo will kick that one in fair territory. So now the count's 0-2. So.
And Phillips was just told by his third base coach there, just go hit. I wouldn't be shocked if Phillips tries a third time to get this bunt down on his own. Obviously, there's no sign on. Tyra Maple Leafs dugout was just witness to the arms flailing. Just go hit. But it's not a bad idea. If you can get it down, it's a big part of this ball game.
Bold call. 0-2. He is hitting, and that didn't work out. Julian Tomashko got him with a nasty breaking ball, and that was an ankle breaker there on Ricky Phillips.
I'm sure Phillips will be hearing it a little bit back in the dugout on the bus ride home, but that at bat aside, Ricky Phillips has done a heck of a job filling in for Noel McGarry-Doyle over the last couple games playing right field. He's had a couple great catches today. He's been put in a very tough spot.
Brad McQuinn swings through the first pitch, and now all of a sudden Julian Tomashko looks a lot sharper on the mound.
And how important is it that Phillips went 0 for 2 on trying to get a bunt down there? A bunt that I firmly believe, I will die on this hill, every player should know how to bunt, but you can't get the runner over, and now a double play still in order.
0-1, called strike inside. Hoots and hollers from the Barrie Baycats dugout after that, and the count's 0-2. Remember, Sam Green at the beginning of the season kind of challenged some of the young guys, Julian Tomashko included, to kind of step things up this year. And Julian Tomashko has. He's pitched very well for the Maple Leafs and has had a massive improvement from last season. And he has been one of those reliable arms for the Maple Leafs down in the bullpen. Now he's going to have to try and work himself out of some trouble. 0-2, 1 away. 2 runners on for the Barrie Baycats. And he got him! Blew the fastball by Brad McQuinn, and Tomashko is 1 out away from getting out of the jam.
6 straight strikes. We've talked about his control issues that he's had in the past, and blowing a fastball right by Brad McQuinn there. He got Phillips on a curveball and then a fastball past McQuinn, and now he's 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning again.
This is a huge batter here for Julian Tomashko. The Maple Leafs need him right here to get out of the inning, and he delivers a breaking ball in the dirt to Kenny Sejo.
And with 4 outs to get, it becomes less of a factor. We were discussing whether we thought we were going to see Dustin Richardson in this game. Likely not, the way it's been going. Adamar was throwing for a bit earlier, but he shut it down.
Well,
Greg Carrington's now down in that bullpen ready to go. So there are arms. If the game stretches and the Leafs score a couple, we have a number of effective arms down there, even past Julian Tomashko.
Long wait here. Time called at the plate. Now Ejo steps back in. Julian Tomashko was in a rhythm. Kenise Ejo obviously trying to slow that down. Here's the 1-0. Finds the outside corner. 1-1.
And as pivotal a spot in this game as it currently is, it's worth mentioning in the Hamilton-Brantford game, Colby Ring has worked himself into some trouble. It's now 4-3, and Brantford has the bases loaded, and Colby Ring has just exited the ball game. So a turn of events in Brantford. Obviously, the Leafs still looking to score some runs here. They'll have to get out of this inning for it to matter, but
So a conversation between Lachlan Maud and Julian Tomashko here on the mound. They might be going through some signs.
I imagine so. I mean, we've talked endlessly about how much Lachlan Maud has had to play recently with the departure of Justin Morrow overseas for the time being, and he's handled himself quite well back there, but you have a number of pitchers, both starters and relievers, that you are just not used to. You have not been catching consistently like you recently have been to start the year. So as a 19-year-old, it's a lot to take in. He's handled himself well for the most part back there.
The 1-1. And it just missed inside. Tomashko wanted it. These are important innings here from Maple Leafs relievers if they can be efficient, because the Maple Leafs have a quick turnaround. They play tomorrow in Kitchener at Jack Couch Park.
And that, if the Leafs lose this one and if Brantford comes back, is one heck of a ball game. A very important one for the Leafs.
2-1. Just missed outside. Now it's 3-1. And if you're looking at who the Maple Leafs need to beat, it's not really the Barrie Baycats right now, but they need wins in general. But their game against Kitchener, that's one that they do need to win. That's one of the teams that they're chasing and within realistic reach. Here's the 3-1 from Julian Tomashko. And he finds the zone, and it's fouled off by Ejo. Count now full. Big pitch coming up here from Julian Tomashko. He was on a roll, got 2 consecutive outs through 6 straight strikes, and then a couple timeouts called by Ejo. Going over the signs with Lachlan Maud. Things slowed down. Now he's trying to get back on his roll. There's the 3-2 pitch. And it's fouled off. Tomashko reaching back for a little extra. Another full count pitch to Kanisi Joe. And it's outside, ball 4. So the bases are loaded now for the Barrie Baycats. And Julian Tomashko's test will get a little bit harder as he faces Brandon Hernandez.
And as Dustin Richardson comes to the mound for a chat, this is Tomashko's inning. There's nobody that's been throwing recently. Nobody's been warming up. Tomashko's gotten himself into this with 2 walks and a bunt single as well. And it's up to him to work himself out of it. I mean, one way or another, I, at this point, expect to see Tomashko back out for the 9th inning, unless his pitch count gets crazy out of hand. And as soon as I say that, Adamar goes to pick up a baseball down the left field line. But like you said, you want to save the big high leverage guys. Dustin Richardson, Adamar has been on a roll recently. Greg Harrington picked up a save, his first IBL save just the other night here. Chris Nagorski is somebody who you are going to need to rely on, whether or not his season's gone the way he's wanted, and it certainly hasn't.
Shortstop number 11.
Tomorrow, if this game gets out of hand this inning, tomorrow becomes the focus in terms of injuries, in terms of preventing them, saving bullets. Very important at bat.
So the first pitch to Brandon Hernandez, and it misses up and away. And Brandon Hernandez has the advantage right here. He's going to need to force Julian Tomashko into the zone and maybe get a pitch to hit. Pressure on Tomashko on the mound for the Maple Leafs. Count 1-0 as he missed up and away with the first pitch. And he misses outside, just outside, 2-0. Machko behind a dangerous hitter, Brandon Hernandez, now hitting .400, but came into the game hitting .470s. 0 for 3 with a couple strikeouts today is Hernandez. The 2-0. And that one's high, ball 3.
And just in fairness to Julian Tomachko, I'm going to stat correct myself here. 2 of his outings, he actually didn't walk a batter, one of which was he only went a third of an inning against the Barrie Baycats, and another inning he didn't, so just want to correct myself on that.
3-0 pitch right down the middle. Count now.
Barrie didn't think so. Josh Matlow and co. making their voices heard from the first base dugout. And the Leafs have too. Angel Castro has been vocal on the third base dugout for the Leafs. A big pitch right there that went Toronto's way.
The 3-1 up and away, and that'll force in a run. And not only will force in a run, but brings a dangerous hitter in Hayden Jaco to the plate. So 5-0 Barrie Baycats. And now the task for the Maple Leafs seems a little bit steeper, trying to get 5 runs in the last 2 innings of the game.
And it's very unfortunate, but it's entirely self-inflicted. You walk 3 guys, this is what happens. Earlier in the game when Alvarado came in, you hit a guy, you walk a guy, you cannot put yourself in positions like this every inning and expect to succeed. Adam Marr is now throwing down in the left field bullpen.
Nolan Mackey-Broda is a lefty. He's on deck. This is the righty Hayden Jaco. And that's the focus for Julian Tomachko right now. And the next pitch is inside. Now it's 2-0. Adam Mara may come into this game if Tomachko doesn't get Jaco right here. The 2-0 pitch. And it's fouled off. Jaco had a big cut at that one, trusting that Tomachko would get one back in the zone. Bases loaded here for the Barrie Baycats. 1 run already forced in on a walk. Jaco is 1 for 3 with a walk in tonight's game. And that one's up and away, ball 3. Julian Tomachko frustrated at himself after that pitch. We'll need to find the zone again here against Jaco. Tomachko's 3-1, and it's fouled off. He's worked it back to a full count.
Adam Marr is ready to go down the left field line. He just got the fist pump from Chialtis, who is catching the bullpen down there, and I imagine you're right. The pitch count getting up there. It goes to Mackey-Broda. You can't leave a struggling pitcher out there on the mound forever who can't throw strikes. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the defense. It's not fair to anybody.
The 3-2. And he missed outside, ball 4, so that's going to force in another run. And that's going to bring Rob Butler to the mound, and he's made the call to the bullpen. Adam Mara is coming into this game, and the bad news for the Maple Leafs is that the Brantford Red Sox have cashed in all of those runs on base. They're now leading 7-4 over the Hamilton Cardinals. We'll take you to that game quickly, and then when we come back, Adam Mara is coming up. A new pitcher into the game for the Maple Leafs. That's Adam Mara, and he's going to face Nolan Mackey-Broda. Adam Mara, a soft-throwing, side-winding lefty for Toronto, and the first pitch is swung through by Mackey-Broda, who was way out in front of it. Adam Mara is a tough customer for left-handed hitters and even right-handed hitters for that matter, as he changes the pace so drastically, and he's got some nasty breaking pitches as well. The 0-1 hit on the ground to his brother Dan, who gets it on a hop, flips to Jordan Castaldo, and that will do it. But the Barrie Baycats get gifted a couple runs in the top of the 8th inning. They lead 6-0 over Toronto. Looks like Brad Grieveson is coming into the game for the Barrie Baycats. Well, the Barrie Baycats out in front 6-0 over the Maple Leafs, and Brad Grieveson is coming into the game for Barrie. Brad Grieveson has had a lot of really good years, and his career numbers are really good with Barrie since 2021, but this season has been a bit of a different story for Grieveson, an ERA of 11.57 in the 7 games that he's appeared in. He hasn't walked a lot of batters, but he's got hit around a bit. Facing Jordan Castaldo to lead things off, and he swings through the first pitch on a check swing for strike 1. But with that being said, Brad Grieveson's task is pretty simple here. Just keep throwing strikes like he always has. If you give up a couple hits, that's okay, because the Barrie Baycats have a 6-run cushion. And this time he just misses outside, 1-1.
And for the Baycats, if they can finish this game with Brad Grieveson, you save Carlos Sano, who's a big, hard-thrown righty, who's led their team in saves so far this season.
That one finds the zone, and it's 1-2.
You won't have to use Juan Benitez. You won't have to use Cesar Rosado, primarily starters, but we've seen them work out of the bullpen as well. If Grieveson can just get 6 outs here, it's a big win for them in terms of saving bullets, too.
Castaldo flies this one high in the air towards left center field, and that one drops. Jordan Castaldo is hustling towards second base, and he slides in head first, and he's got himself a leadoff double on a ball that kept carrying and nearly left the yard.
And we saw it a little bit earlier in the game with Ryan Dos Santos having a bit of trouble tracking that ball. It gets up. The higher it gets, the further it goes into that airstream, and it spirals a little bit out there. And luckily for Castaldo and the Leafs, he was hustling around first base and just barely got into second.
This is not an easy task here for Brad Grieveson, having to face the 3-hitter Castaldo and now John Salazzo, who's putting himself right up there in almost every category offensively in the Inter-County Baseball League. And Salazzo takes ball 1.
And as I continue to try and think along the lines of, well, who do the Leafs want to save and who do the Leafs want to throw? Mara came in, got his 1 out. Chris Degorski's throwing down in the bullpen like he'll come in for the 9th. He hasn't pitched a lot lately either. And my thinking with him would be that, well, if you want to save Adam Mara for tomorrow in a big game, he's only threw, 3 pitches and got an out? Now you can yank him?
Salazzo a big cut at that one after 2 close misses to start out the at-bat by Brad Grieveson. A lot of that ERA over 11 for Grieveson came earlier in the season. In his last 4 outings, he's allowed just 1 earned run. That came last time out against the Guelph Royals. So he's had a pretty good stretch lately. The 2-1. Swing and a miss by Salazzo.
And in keeping up with how important these games are and the usage of the bullpens, Brantford's in the 5th inning, and they've already are on their 3rd pitcher. Isaiah Ramos started, then it was Kyle Nash, and now Jeremiah Sucre, who we just saw start the other day here at Christie Pitts before the rain hit.
A 2-2, Salazzo with another big cut. John Salazzo has 9 home runs on the season, but Seth Strong is starting to pull away once again in the home run department. But Salazzo brought it within 1. I think he has 12 now to Strong.
He has 13.
13. But
Continues to have a heck of a season.
Yeah. The 2-2. Check swing. Did not go around. Malik Williams trying to appeal for a call.
Hayden Jaco knew he didn't go. He was like, there's no reason to appeal there.
Brad Grieveson's been all over the strike zone in this at-bat. He's just missed on a couple pitches. And he just misses again. That's just the 4th walk of the season by Brad Grieveson. Didn't miss by much, but Salazzo's going to head down to first base.
Right fielder number 29, Marcus Canucks.
Once again, the Leafs find themselves with 2 men on base, hoping that this will be the inning to finally crack that scoreless egg that they've thrown up on the scoreboard thus far.
Marcus Connect drills one deep to left field and way foul. He really got into that one, but he was out in front of that pitch from Brad Grieveson.
He was sitting fastball. He got a fastball and hit it a mile. That is one of the furthest balls I've seen hit here at Christie Pitts. Unfortunately for Connect, he pulled it just a little bit too much. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here talking about how it's a 6-3 ball game.
The 1-0. And he misses low and away, Grieveson. And the count's now 1-1.
Smart idea there for Grieveson, realizing, well, he just cranked a fastball foul. I'm not throwing him another one right there.
Yeah, and it's going to be away.
Yes. If you're going to do damage against me, it will be to the right field fence.
Yeah. The 1-1. Connects, swings over the top of it, and it's 1-2. And that is the game plan now from Brad Grieveson. He's not going to bust Marcus Connect inside and take his chances with some of those outside breaking balls, but that's been a good strategy against Marcus Connect this season.
I'd expect another hard slider outside, low and outside.
The 1-2. Connect hits it high and deep to left field. Did he straighten it out this time? Not quite. That one foul by not much. Hard to say how many feet foul it was when it actually crossed over the fence because it was so far gone, but maybe 10 feet.
Far enough that Taka Matsuda was throwing the ball back to Grieveson before it landed.
Right. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Connect. Outside corner, strike 3 called. Well, some damage done by Marcus Connect, but he couldn't straighten it out. And then he strikes out against Brad Grieveson.
2 really good swings, almost 2 really good outcomes, but unfortunately, and stop me if you've heard this one before, the Leafs have continued their inability to advance runners.
Well, we'll see. One out here in the inning. Ryan Dos Santos at the plate. And he takes outside ball 1. If Brad Grieveson can give them a little bit of a length, ideally 2 innings, that would be helpful for the Barrie Baycats because they also play tomorrow. They're going to take on the Guelph Royals to start a 4-game homestand. Dos Santos hits it hard on the ground. Kyle Maves dives, knocks it down, throws to first, and he threw it away. A run's going to come in to score for, oh, maybe not. Play at the plate, not in time. Jordan Castaldo slides in safely. That was closer than we thought it was going to be. The Bushmen love it, and it's a 6-1 ball game.
A lot going on right there. A heck of a play, a dive at second base from Kyle Maves, and he almost made the play. Threw it wild, and then Jordan Castaldo hustling around third base, diving headfirst in, and the Leafs are on the scoreboard finally. A much closer play, like you said, Thomas, than we anticipated. A heck of a play from, I believe, Nolan Mackey-Broda over there, who picked it up and fired a strike to Hayden Jaco. Swipe tag just missed. 6-1 ball game.
Yeah, Jordan Castaldo kind of got going there.
He did. He really did.
You know, I was kind of joking with Jordan Castaldo about him stealing a base at some point this year, and I kind of said, like, are you fast? Because he doesn't, like, we don't really get to see him run that often. Good block there by Hayden Jaco.
Well,
and he said, I can get it going, and I just kind of laughed, but he did get it going.
He did get it going when he needed to. He hustled in the second base. We saw his frustration when he lined out to Malik Williams with runners on earlier this game. Taking his frustration out there by rounding third base and diving headfirst into the plate.
Dan Mara takes inside, and that one was very close to hitting him.
And Carlos Sano, who was nowhere near a mound 10 minutes ago, is standing right on the mound down the right field line now.
2-1 on Dan Mara. And he takes a called strike on the outer half. Brad Grieveson trying to work out of this. He's still just a ground ball away.
Got to put the ball in play here if you're Dan Mara. Got to do it.
Does that a lot. Now the 2-2. Pushes it foul down the right side.
And if I can be more specific, put it on the ground. He's quick enough. A chopper. He likely beats it out, and a run would score, and the Leafs are desperate for any runs they can get right now.
The 2-2. Dos Santos going. Mara lines it to second base. It's caught, and that's going to be a double play.
And that's just how this game has gone for the Leafs. He ripped it.
Oh, man.
My goodness.
A hard hit ball there by Dan Mara, and the Maple Leafs get quite unfortunate with that one, although it was a good play by Brandon Hernandez with a partial dive to his left to make the catch, and the Maple Leafs just get the one in the inning. They trail 6-1 to the Barrie Baycats. Maple Leafs are going to turn to their veteran reliever in Chris Nagorski, who will pitch against his former team. He'll have Ryan Rio to start things off. Chris Nagorski had a good start to the year for the Maple Leafs, but his last 3 outings just haven't gone his way, and he hasn't pitched since June 27th. It's been an extended time off for Nagorski. First pitch, a strike on the outside corner, and in a 6-1 ball game, top of the 9th. Really good chance for Chris Nagorski to get things back on track here. 0-1 on Ryan Rio. And Rio hits it on the ground. Danmar there. Goes to first in time. 1 away.
Yeah, after that ground out, he's now allowed 8 runs over his last 3 innings of work. 4 innings of work, excuse me, after that ground out. And he's, again, someone who they really want to get back on track. They are going to try and make a run at the playoffs. Chris Nagorski, he's been there, he's done that. He's been very, very effective in doing so. Someone that they desperately want to get back on track out of the bullpen.
Fastball to Malik Williams, misses inside.
And as we near the potential final few outs of this game, checking on the Brantford Red Sox. They're up 6-4 over the Hamilton Cardinals in the top of the 6th.
The 1-0. And that one hit him. Right off the backside there of Malik Williams, so he's going to head down to first base.
Guarantee you that does not feel good. A hard fastball right to the lower back, and Nagorski's apologizing as Williams walks down to first base there.
Second baseman number 6.
That'll bruise.
So here comes Kyle Maves, who's had a pretty good day at the plate. He's 1 for 3, but he's walked and scored twice. Here's the first pitch. And it's outside.
And with Welland not playing tonight, should the Baycats win, they'll jump another half game closer to the Jackfish. Top of the IBL standings, tightening up every passing day.
That one finds a zone now 1-1. Yeah, and that, just an update on the Brantford-Hamilton game. It's actually 6-4 for the Brantford Red Sox over Hamilton. This one's slash file by Kyle Maves. Brantford Red Sox didn't lose a run. I think it was just a misclick on the scorebook. But they did cash in a bunch of those runs when they had bases loaded there.
Yeah, they did. Casey Boyle-Howard struggling after Colby Ring came out of the game.
Yeah. There's a swing and a miss. Strike 3. Good breaking ball there from Chris Nagorski. That was back in what we believe might have been the 4th inning.
Yeah, are you sure about that?
No, not anymore. Not sure about anything anymore.
I don't know what to believe at this point. No, the most important fact in that remains that Brantford's currently winning, which is not ideal for the Maple Leafs.
Another good breaking ball there from Chris Nagorski. Gets Ricky Phillips swinging over the top. Malik Williams is the runner on first base. He got hit by a pitch. That's the only blemish on Chris Nagorski's record so far in the inning. Here's the 0-1. And it's lined over the head of Jordan Castaldo into the outfield. Long run for Marcus Connect as he comes over, but Malik Williams is not running at all down to second base. And that's not a great sign for the Barrie Baycats, who are already beat up, having a trio of injuries against the Welland Jackfish. I don't think that was a case of not hustling there by Malik Williams. I think he might be still feeling that hit by pitch a little bit.
Absolutely. And I mean, the scenario when you're up by 5 in the top of the 9th and your pitching staff has been as great as they have been, the situation, I side with Williams there. There's no reason to push yourself and feel discomfort. the short staff, both in terms of arms and bats right now for the Barrie Baycats. No reason to push yourself more than you have to at this point in the ball game.
Strike from Chris Nagorski to Brad McQuinn.
Big out right here from Nagorski. 1, to keep this a 5-run game, but 2, just on a personal note, to throw a shutout inning and not have it go back to Canisijo at the top of the lineup.
That one misses just low, so the count's now 1-1. One pitch, outside, 2-1.
And the last thing you want to do right here is walk McQuinn to load the bases for the ever dangerous Canisijo. We've seen what he's capable of earlier this game, launching a missile over the right center field fence back in the first inning. Third pitch of the ball game, if you weren't with us then.
2-1, fouled off down the left side. So 2-2 the count now on Brad McQuinn. Chris Nagorski trying to get through this inning and turn things over to the bats in the bottom of the ninth. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A scoreless inning turned in by Chris Nagorski, and the Maple Leafs will need 5 runs in the bottom half of the ninth if they want to come back against the Barrie Baycats. Lucas Alberti is going to get his second at-bat since taking over for Cole Murchison a couple innings ago. Faces Brad Grieveson, who is going to try and get through a second inning here. Maple Leafs were able to put one on Brad Grieveson, and then he got a gift of a line-out double play while Ryan Dos Santos was stealing second base to get him out of a jam in the 8th. And now he's missed twice to Lucas Alberti, so the count's 2-0. Bit of a breeze trying to blow out to straight center field here at Dominico. The 2-0, and he gets it up into that breeze. It's deep to left center field, and it's caught right in front of the wall by Canisijo, who's got some wheels out there. Lucas Alberti gave it a ride, but it's just allowed out number 1.
Your attention, please, a pitcher for your Maple Leafs, now batting number 16, Greg Carrington.
Well, Greg Carrington, who I'm led to believe just got to the ballpark about an hour ago.
Yep.
He does that sometimes because, you know, he can come out of the bullpen and it doesn't affect him too much. Well, this time he's going to get an at-bat, and this is a good opportunity here for Greg Carrington because he is originally a batter, and he can still be a productive bat in this Maple Leafs lineup along with being a pitcher out of the bullpen. as he fouled off the first pitch for strike one. Here's the 0-1 from Grieveson. And he pops it up towards the left side, foul. Greg Carrington now behind 0-2. The last at-bat I think that Greg Carrington has was in a big situation. Here's the 0-2.
Against London, right?
Yeah.
Pinch hit. Yeah, he pinch hit, lined a single to right field. That scored the tying run.
This time he hits a little blooper into center, but Canisijo is able to track that one down as well. And there's 2 away. One more out to work with for Brad Grieveson and the Barrie Baycats to secure the win over the Maple Leafs. And it'll be the leadoff hitter, Jose Vinicio. Jose Vinicio is 1 for 4. He has a double today, and he calls time at home plate. Brad Grieveson had already started working into his delivery.
Hasn't Vinicio been hitting righty this game?
Yeah, he's a switch hitter.
We haven't seen it a ton this year.
No, you're right, yeah. But yeah, he was hitting righty with Frank Garces on the mound, and he hasn't hit righty a lot this year, but it worked. He had a double. But I mean, when he was in the minors with the Boston Red Sox organizations, he was completely a switch hitter. Now he pops this one up to the left side. Malik Williams over in the corner, and he makes the catch. What a play by Malik Williams to end the ball game, and the Barrie Baycats take it 6-1 over the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, a very well pitched game for the Barrie Baycats. The Leafs bullpen did their job. They couldn't get any offense going, and once again, it was close but no cigar. Multiple runners on base, multiple innings in a row, and they just couldn't get the hit that they needed with runners in scoring position. A couple ground balls, a couple strikeouts, a couple pop-ups, even in the bottom of the 8th there, an unlucky line drive double play ball right at Brandon Hernandez, shortstop off the bat of Dan Marr, and all the more important tomorrow against the Kitchener Panthers. Hamilton still leads 6-4 in their ball game. Brantford does. I wish Hamilton did. I was getting ahead of myself a little bit there. Brantford leads 6-4. Should that score hold, then the Leafs will fall to a game and a half back of the Brantford Red Sox heading into tomorrow. And that Kitchener Panthers game, I would expect to see all the top guns out of the bullpen. I'd expect to see Adam Marr, Dustin Richardson. If Greg Carrington's there after his last couple performances, I'd expect to see him. We've used the term must win quite a bit lately up here in the broadcast booth. Tomorrow it's pretty close to that. It's getting to be that time of the year where games against teams that are just ahead of you in the standings mean more than they have previously. And as we say, the Barrie Baycats inch closer to the first place spot in the Whale and Jackfish. They play tomorrow as well, and as we get down closer and closer to the wire here, it'll be a tight finish to the race, and the Leafs just hope that they can find themselves on the right side of the Brantford Red Sox, or in the case of the standings, on top of them. So 14 more games. It's going to be a stressful 14 at that.
Barrie Baycats scored 4 runs in the first 3 innings, and that was plenty to beat the Leafs in this one here tonight. The Barrie Baycats 6 runs on 10 hits and 3 errors. The Maple Leafs score 1 run on 7 hits and make 1 error. Appreciate everyone tuning in to Toronto Maple Leafs baseball on YouTube.